Another buzzword at Sonoma, strategy. For more, we go to our crew chief, Larry McReynolds. Good afternoon, Larry.
Yeah, Adam, the minute this green flag drops on this 110-lap race, we'll be trying to predict the different strategies. But for the first time at Sonoma in 2012, we have electronic fuel injection. We don't have the carburetor. That changes the way these guys tune these engines. And, Adam, I think that's going to dictate a lot about whether they can make it on 2 stops or 3 stops.
Get your calculator ready, Larry. I know all the crew chiefs up and down pit road are doing the same because you never know what's going to unfold when you come to a place like Sonoma. And very likely, everybody going to be chasing the 9 and the 24. Marcos Ambrose and Jeff Gordon on the front row. Now we go trackside for the command.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome Tony La Russa and Toyota's hometown hero winner, Toby Appleton.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Time to put them on track and make it happen. If you want to join the conversation in Sonoma, you can do so. It's twitter.com/#NASCAR. The green flag is next.
As the Sprint Cup Series has motored through the speedways and short tracks, Hendrick Motorsports teammates Jimmy Johnson and Dale Jr. have picked up serious momentum in their rise up the standings.
Jimmy Johnson comes off turn 4 looking for the checkered flag. The streak is over. Dale Earnhardt Jr. back to victory lane in Michigan.
But now they face a different challenge. Inertia. The resistance to changing direction once an object is set in motion. And here in Sonoma, the season is headed for a turn. It will be a test for contenders to see who can adapt to the shift and who will succumb to the resistant force. But it is also an opportunity for a couple of road course masters to get back in the chase with a win. Today, Sonoma calls for a new direction.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series ready to roll for the 16th time in 2012. NASCAR on TNT, proud to bring you coverage of the Toyota Save Mart 350. This afternoon, we are in Sonoma, California. It is the first road race of the year, and, well, we got that great Northern California weather going on. Temperature right now, 67 degrees. There is a slight breeze. No chance of rain today. Complete sunny skies. Hello and welcome again, everybody. Good to have you with us. With Kyle Petty and Wally Dallenbach, I'm Adam Alexander. And you know what I love about you two? When you make picks for a race, you go right out on a limb. You like Jeff
Yes.
Gordon, who starts in the front row. Kyle says the pole sitter, Marcos Ambrose. They are the favorites here today. And if one of them wins, Wally, it's going to go a long way in helping them make the chase in the fall.
Well, listen, Gordon's got to start winning races if he's going to be even in the chase. And I think this is a great opportunity for him. He loves this racetrack. He's won here. Here's a guy who can win both road courses and win on any oval we go to. So I think he's got to step it up right now. I mean, he could get into the points, but he needs to start putting wins in the column, and I think this is his best shot today to get that monkey off his back and start moving forward.
And Kyle, you and I talked on Countdown to Green earlier. Things have changed here in the last few years, really since we went to double file restarts.
Yeah, double file restarts make you be more aggressive. When you start looking at it, you know, used to it was 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody lined up. Now it's too wide, and that guy in 4th place believes he can get to the top of the hill. And you can be aggressive, overly aggressive on these restarts and get people in trouble. It works like this. I'm 3rd in line. Wally's 2nd in line. Adam is leading the race. I could drive off in the turn 1. Boom. I'm aggressive. Now what happens? Adam comes back and wrecks Wally. I'm leading now. That's the way aggression works.
It's going to be fun today. Up here and especially on the track behind us. And the field is rolled off. So which driver will be the fastest out of this week's top qualifiers? Your choices, the top 4 on the grid: Ambrose, Gordon, Johnson, and Biffle. Text FAST to 34763 or go to attfastestdriver.com to play. You could win 4G's $4,000 just by playing along. Brought to you by the nation's largest 4G network, AT&T. Rethink possible. And now we look at today's starting lineup. Qualifying held here in Sonoma on Friday afternoon. We've already told you the front row, guys that are very good when it comes to road course racing. Jeff Gordon, the all-time leader. He's won 5 times here at Sonoma. Row 2, Jimmy Johnson, the man who got the victory here a couple of years ago, and Greg Biffle, who's been fast all weekend looking for his first road course win. Best road course start for teammates on Row 3. Martin Truex Jr. and Clint Boyer alongside. Then in Row 4, you got Kyle Busch, who swept the road course events back in 2008, and Kurt Busch, his brother, who won this race 1 season ago. Wrapping up the top 10, championship leader Matt Kenseth in the 9th spot alongside Ryan Newman, who's won on virtually every kind of racetrack but never on a road course. Carl Edwards and Juan Pablo Montoya on Row 6. Montoya won this race back in 2007. Right behind them, Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski, BK, in the top 10 at both road course races in 2011. Casey Kane won here in 2009. He starts 15th alongside Denny Hamlin, looking to bounce back from his worst finish of the year a week ago at Michigan. A.J. Allmendinger, quick in practice. He starts in the 17th position alongside 2000 champ Bobby Labonte. Row 10, well, there he is, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Huge win last week, but he's never finished inside the top 10 at Sonoma. Row 11, we welcome back Brian Vickers in the 55 car. It's his 3rd start of 2012. He was in the top 5 earlier this season at Bristol. We heard from him a moment ago on Countdown to Green. A 7-time road course winner, twice here at Sonoma. Tony Stewart starting in the 24th position. It'll be fun to watch him come through the field. And also Jamie McMurray and Kevin Harvick, pretty good when it comes to road course racing. They start 25th and 26th today. As you look at the rest of the starting field, there's David Gilliland in row 14. He has to drop to the rear because he missed the drivers' meeting earlier today. And Stephen Light made an engine change. He, too, will start at the tail of the field. One of the themes in 2012, the strength of Michael Waltrip Racing. They got a couple of good ones starting up front today, Wally.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a hold of Martin Truex. Hey, Martin, this is Wally up in the booth. You got a copy?
Gotcha, Wally.
All right, man. You had a good run at Watkins Glen last year. You finished 4th. I believe you won the nationwide race in Mexico City. So you know how to get around a road course. How's your horse today?
I think Napa Toyota's pretty good, to be honest, Wally. We've had some good runs here. This place has been kind of tough on us as far as finishes, but guys have done a good job again, brought me an awesome race car, and it's going to be a tough race. The tires are really going off of these things, and they get real loose after 5 or 6 laps. So just have to see what today brings, but feel good about the car and good about our chances today.
That really seems like the thing here these days, Martin. You really got to take care of those rear tires. But it's tough to do because you've got to be aggressive on this racetrack where you get past. How do you find that balance?
It's definitely difficult. I guess I hadn't quite found it yet, so I'll be looking forward to today. You got to be aggressive, but you got to save a little bit for the long runs too. So we'll just see what happens. We've got an awesome car, and like I said, I really enjoy racing out here. So the biggest thing is just try to go fast and not get run into.
Good luck today, man. Have fun.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Y'all have fun too.
Thank you, Martin. We will. And joining the party here on TNT, the 4 guys that will work hard all afternoon along the pit lane. Let's get their final thoughts before we put the green flag in the air this afternoon. We start off with Marty Snyder.
Good afternoon, Adam. And here's an interesting stat. When was the last time Jeff Gordon led a lap at Sonoma? How about 2006? He won the race that year, and it's been 6 years since he's led a lap here. Everybody on the pit road and in the garage area thinks that will change early in the race today. Expect to see Jeff Gordon up front, and Wally's exactly right. I just talked to Jeff minutes ago. He said we are in win-only mode. That's our only hope to get in the chase and get into the wild card conversation. So a big day for Jeff Gordon. Can he snap a 26-race winless streak and put himself in chase contention? A lot of people down here think the answer to that is yes, Chris.
Well, Marty, last year, Clint Boyer came to pit lane late for tires and ran the car from 18th up to 4th with about 20 laps to go. I spoke with crew chief Brian Petty earlier to see if that strategy was on the table, and he said, of course it is, but it's all going to be track position dependent. If late in this race the 15 is outside of the top 10, you'll probably see it come to pit lane. If he's inside the top 10, well, then Clint is just going to have to manage those tires. Ralph?
Chris, I spoke to competition director for Joe Gibbs Racing, Jimmy Maycar, and I said, do you know why you guys have those engine problems over the last couple of weeks? He said, the good news is it wasn't the same part. The bad news is it wasn't the same part, which means they're not really sure if they're going to have that issue again or not. They feel pretty confident they can get through this time, and hopefully they can change that bad luck by having a win here today. Larry Mack, they're going to start 7th.
Ralph, 1 year ago, Kurt Busch won this race, and he only made 2 trips to pit road. But 2 years ago, Jimmy Johnson came to pit road to get the checkered flag first, making 3 pit stops. Now, our Matt Yoakum is with the crew chief that made that strategy.
And when you look at those different strategies, Larry Mack, from the past 2 years, this guy right here made the call for 3 2 years ago. Now, with EFI, the wild card, Chad, and the tremendous tire give up, does that open up or narrow up your window for strategy here today of 2 versus 3?
I think it definitely gives you some options. This has definitely had the largest impact with EFI of any other racetrack that we've gone to. Typically, you try to make this a 2-stop race. I think everybody can do that now at this point. But I think if the caution comes out with 15, maybe 20 laps to go, everybody's going to want to try to pit to get some fresh Goodyear rubber on there. The tire fall off is pretty high. Cars aren't handling as well as what the drivers would like, and you want to be able to be aggressive at the end. So I think get some tires on it at the end is going to be pretty important.
And one other big option, when you start up near the front, that gives you various plans that you can try to put out on the racetrack. They roll off third. Adam?
Thank you very much. Now our Geico race analysis. And here are the numbers. 110 laps, 219 miles. The pit window, 32 to 40 laps. Why is that so wide? Because the varying strategies that we will see here today, the 33 and 38 going to the tail as we go green at Sonoma. So far, so good. Clean up through turn 2, and there's problems for Travis Kvapil, left front.
I think it's locked up. Yeah, and it looks like the whole tire's locked up. I mean, not like the wheel itself is locked up.
Ambrose got a great start. He leads him down off of turn 7. Jimmy Johnson, Montoya to the inside of Ryan Newman as they come through the corner. Matt Kenseth in front of the 39 now. This is one of the great places on the racetrack. They come off the top of the hill and fire down through the S's, Wally.
Well, right here, this right-hander, not this one right here, but this next one they're going through, this right-hander is the most important, I think, corner on the racetrack because it sets you up for 11 to where you can try to make a pass like you see Montoya down there right now. Right, a lot of other guys just doing the same thing. But that is really the key corner on the racetrack.
And earlier in Countdown to Green, we heard a clip with Clint Boyer say, you can run the whole racetrack and miss turn 10, and then you got to wait the whole lap again to set yourself up for the next pass.
Ambrose jumped out to that early lead. He's pulled away from Jeff Gordon. And right now things single file. Here's Brad Keselowski getting out of line, trying to make a move on Carl Edwards. And that would be for a position just outside the top 10. Joey Logano settling in right behind them. He started on the pole here 1 year ago. Travis Kvapil did make his way back to the pit lane as Kurt Busch side by side with Matt Kenseth there for position.
Yeah, and we saw Matt peek to the inside and then think better of it. And I think you'll see that in the first part of the race. Just like we said, you want to keep the nose, you want to keep the fenders on these things. You're not going to be overly aggressive at this time because Matt knows, honestly, they've got a better pit stop than a pit crew than that 51 car. Yeah. He can pass that 51 on pit road and not have to use his equipment up at this time.
Here's a great shot. Front bumper of Juan Pablo Montoya into 11, Wally.
And you're right, Kyle. I mean, 10 laps to go. That's going to be a totally different scenario. Yes. But you're right. Everybody's just kind of, like I said, they're getting their stuff, the tires up to the temperatures and pressures, feeling everything out. There's no sense of just being overly aggressive right now. That is a pretty cool shot.
Make the left-hander at turn 1, then up the hill, the right-hander here at turn 2.
Of course I say that. I don't mean Montoya. I mean the rest of the field.
There's an asterisk by every rule, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, the 17 is trying to stay off of the 51 of Kurt Busch, and at the same time, Juan doesn't see any of that. He just sees the 17.
Told you Montoya won here back in 2007. He's 10th on track right now. Tell you, the Roush guys qualified really good here on Friday, and that's big because Kenseth, Biffle, and Edwards not typical road course ringers, and there goes Logano to the inside of Edwards making a move for position. He'll settle in behind Brad Keselowski, so Logano jumping up to 13th in the running order.
Joy's confidence has just grown and grown and grown. I go back, and we've said it here since Darlington. He's won a couple of nationwide races and won them and raced to the win, not just outrun people, race to the win. Then you go back to Pocono, and I think you look at some of this stuff, and I mean, he just drove around Carl Edwards. You know what I mean? And that builds his confidence again today.
And Logano has become a pretty good road racer, and that goes back to something you and I talked about earlier in the weekend, Kyle. When drivers come over to the Sprint Cup Series now, the talent level has gotten higher and higher. They're much more broad when you look at their resume.
And they are. And these guys come from backgrounds that have a little bit more road racing in them than when I came along and to Cup racing. Wally came from a road racing background, but these guys are exposed to so many more types of racetracks.
Yeah, and you know, Adam and I were talking about it earlier. A lot of these guys who would come like a week before a road course race, they go to Bob Bondurant. They get all this, try to cram all this experience in. But now you've got guys running the Grand Am Series, and like you said, they're running karts, and a lot of these guys have a lot more road racing experience than they did 10, 15 years ago.
A.J. Allmendinger in that bright yellow 22 car. That's the machine that won here a year ago with Kurt Busch behind the wheel. He qualified 17th, not the run they were looking for on Friday, but they were very fast in practice yesterday. The double deuce has gone from 17th to 14th in the first 4 laps here this afternoon. And not too far behind him, Dale Earnhardt Jr. And there you see him, silver colors this week for the 88. That win last week at Michigan. Dale started this race in the 19th position, scored 22nd right now. That's Regan Smith in the black 78. Inside of Jeff Burton as you see Dale Earnhardt Jr. swing through turn 1 and up the hill to turn 2.
Somebody got off there a little bit. You see that dust. You know, as you guys watch this from home, we heard a lot in the pre-race from Juan and from a couple of people about tire degradation, about wearing those rear tires out. And they seem to think it's going to be a 3-stop strategy. You watch these guys come off a corner. If they can come off the corner and come straight up off the corner, they're not hurting their tires as much as these guys when you see the rear end step out and these guys are drifting way to the outside. Those guys are going to have tire issues a little bit faster.
There were some cars that you circled on the lineup today and said they got to move forward. 2 of them right here. The 29 of Kevin Harvick. The 1 as you ride on board here with Jamie McMurray. Both started outside the top 20. Another one in that group, Tony Stewart. Harvick and McMurray not really advancing in the early going. Smoke has made up some positions. You see him coming into turn 11 here after starting 24th. The 2-time Sonoma winner now finds himself in the 17th position.
A little bit loose on the left-hander, pretty good on the right.
David Gilliland, who won the K&N West race here yesterday, double dipping this weekend, has advanced 10 spots after starting at the back. He missed the drivers' meeting earlier today. His career best finish coming here at Sonoma a few years ago. Marcos Ambrose started on the pole. 2nd consecutive week he's done that. And once you put him out front, he's hard to beat on a road course. He's led every lap. We're just getting started in wine country. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing in Northern California on this Sunday afternoon. 8 laps complete in this afternoon's Toyota Save Mart 350. 11 drivers broke the old track record here in qualifying on Friday. And when Ambrose made his qualifying run setting the pole, looked like he was going 35 miles an hour. He was so smooth, Wally. What do you see out of driver 9 here?
Well, you take a look at great driver shot here, and Marco says you watch his hands on the steering wheel, very smooth. One thing it's pretty interesting, he runs a smaller steering wheel than some people. Like if you go to the ink car of Montoya later, he's got it looks like the steering wheel's size of a truck tire. But Marcos has got a small box, steering box, so it's probably a little bit quicker. But you can just see he's just doing his thing, real smooth. I mean, he knows he gets around this place awfully good. See him check the mirror every once in a while. Gordon's catching him a little bit.
Yeah, he's hanging right there. It's Jimmy Johnson right behind them, and here's a move for position. That's Martin Truex Jr. in turn 11 to the inside of Greg Biffle. Move Truex up a spot. Biffle started in the 4th position. He's dropped to 6th. The Michael Waltrip teammates Clint Boyer, Martin Truex Jr. both have gotten around him. What about the Roush Fenway organization today, Larry?
Well, Adam, you mentioned that they all qualified well, and I think they took so much information from Marcus Ambrose, Todd Parrott in that 9, but when I look at them right now, the only one of them that's maintaining where they started is Matt Kenseth in the 17, started 9th. He's running 9th, but Biffle, he's fallen from 4th now to 6th or 7th, and the real driver of the Roush Fenway camp that's fallen like a rock, Carl Edwards, started 11th. In the 99, he's all the way back to 19th now.
And when you look at Carl Edwards' resume, he's really not that bad of a road course racer, but some struggles early today for the man who enters 11th in points. Carl needs a good run to keep his head above water and try to maintain good relation to the top 10 in the standings so he can make his way into the chase this fall. We joked off the top about the 2 of you picking Ambrose and Gordon. Larry picked Kyle Busch, and he's getting aggressive. Started 7th, and he opens the inside door on Greg Biffle for the 6th spot. Larry pointed it out. Greg Biffle started 4th here today. He is now dropped back and is running in the 7th position, and he's got big-time company for Kurt Busch, who's right behind him in the 8th spot. And you look at Kurt Busch, who won this race a year ago. This is a big weekend for them. The road course kind of an equalizer for that team as they try to get a victory, Wally.
I mean, Kurt's very good at this racetrack as well, and put a lot of pressure on Biffle. I'm trying to figure out what it looks like. Both the 99 and the 16 are just under braking is where they're getting beat the most right now. As you see Kurt Busch pass him under braking.
That's up in turn 7. And now the fast part of the racetrack as they come down the hill toward the S's.
And you talk about the 99 dropping. The 16 has fallen back too.
Yeah.
Because the 51 and the 17 of Matt Kenseth and Juan have all been right there in that group. So it's not that they really run down to 16. The 16 came back to them.
Ryan Newman here just outside the top 10. He's currently in the 11th position. Here comes another one to go around Greg Biffle. That's his teammate, Matt Kenseth. Started 9th. That's where he was running until now as he slides inside and makes the pass off turn 11. And Montoya hunting behind as well for a spot. Everybody knows, and this is what Clint Boyer pointed out earlier, if you're gonna have a chance to make a move, you better do it in turn 11, because if not, you got to wait and set up the whole opportunity again the next time around.
You got another spot up there in turn 7 that you could, also a pretty good passing zone, but 11 is definitely your best spot.
Battle for the race lead. Jeff Gordon able to get around Marcos Ambrose, put the 24 on the point at Sonoma. He must have set that up in turn 7.
Yeah, but I'm color me gone here in that 24 car. The best thing, compared to basketball, if you can make the other team play your game, then you can stay in the game. And I think Marcos, if he could keep Jeff behind him, he could make Jeff play Marcus's game. Run my pace, run my deal. But once Jeff gets out front, Jeff is going to be strong because he has been on him from the time the race started.
There they were off of 4 down to turn 7, Wally.
Yeah, like I said, and he locked his right front up, and that's really opened the door up for Jeff. But that's another good passing zone. We've seen a lot more of that in the last couple of years.
Here's another look at it.
Boy, he locked that up a long time. And that's where you start getting into a serious flat spot on a tire, when you lock it up for that long a period of time.
Jeff Gordon's got an amazing resume on road courses. 9 wins, 5 of them coming here at Sonoma. He started on the pole 5 times here. These are the first laps he's led at this road course since 2006, and Ambrose has more company.
Yeah, he's going to have to start dialing some brake to the rear on that thing, or he's not going to have a right front left.
That's Jimmy Johnson lined up behind him, and Clint Boyer knocking at the door. I'll tell you, Boyer's been good all weekend, Kyle. You and I pointed that out on Friday.
It's like I didn't even know there were twisty roads in Kansas. I thought everything was straight in Kansas, but somewhere he learned to drive on a twisty road.
The 9 is dropped back to the runner-up position, Marty.
Yeah, he's dropping back, and he just radioed to the crew, it's going away. Todd Parrott said, hang on to it as best you can. The one thing Todd Parrott told me this morning he was worried about, long runs. He said, we intended to do one at the beginning of happy hour yesterday, never really did that, so they were a little worried about how the 9 car would be on old tires. I think we're getting our answer right now.
Jeff Gordon, fastest in all 3 practice sessions this weekend at Sonoma. He doesn't care about practice. He cares about the race. Right now, the 4-time champion on point at Sonoma with 13 laps complete. NASCAR on TNT live in Sonoma, California. Coverage of the Toyota Save Mart 350, first road course race of the year. And you can log on to NASCAR.com to experience TNT Race Buddy, presented by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the official beer of NASCAR. Race Buddy has 10 camera views and reports from Miss Coors Light and more. There's Martin Truex Jr. going inside of the pole sitter Ambrose. Put Truex in 4th. Ambrose now back to 5th in the running order.
And it's like in that corner, approaching turn 7, Ambrose has locked that left right front so many times. He's just tentative to even get into that corner right now.
Just outside the top 10, the man who is on the move, Tony Stewart, a 2-time winner here. After starting in the 24th position today, Smoke has worked his way to 13th in the running order. Matt?
Positive gains for the 14 car. Began on lap 1, going into turn 11. He passed 4 cars, and as you documented, Adam, he has climbed all the way to 13th. This race, the tone is starting to settle in. Exactly what Tony Stewart told me before the race. He hoped he would see a long green flag run where possibly the first round of pit stops would be under green. That way he could take his time, be patient, and pick them off one by one.
Matt talking about this first cycle of pit stops being under green, depending on your strategy. And in our pre-race analysis, we had the pit window anywhere from 32 to 40 laps. We could be closing on halfway as far as the pits under green are concerned. And here you see Jimmy Johnson. He's looking good early. He jumps around the 15 of Clint Bowyer. So you got Hendrick cars running 1-2. Jeff Gordon in the lead. Johnson now up to 2nd.
You might have that wrong.
What did I say?
Johnson now up to 2nd.
Why? Isn't he running 2nd?
Yeah, but he was already running 2nd.
Oh, he didn't get. He just got by him.
Okay.
It's time for Ram. No guts, no glory. The risk reward. You talk about strategy here. 2 stops or 3. When do you make that strategy, and what are you in favor of, Wally?
I don't want to know. I mean, if I'm driving that race car, that's for Larry to figure out. I just want to be able to do what I need to. Just tell me what to do.
Larry, what are you thinking on the pit box, crew chief?
Well, we're 17 laps into this race, and if you indeed have made the commitment to do it on 3 stops, and you want to make sure that you get equal number of laps in each run, that pit window is going to open somewhere around lap 25 or 26. That way you're running about 26 to 28 laps on each run. Now, you may go a little longer in the beginning. That way you have fresher tires for a shorter run at the end. But I think if you're going to do 3 stops, within the next 8 to 10 laps, that pit window will open.
Some of these guys may go to that 3 stop the way their cars are handling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know, when do you make that call on? I know everybody's discussed 2 or 3, but when do you make that call?
This ain't no guts, no glory kind of track. Right now, the man getting all the glory, Jeff Gordon. He's the race leader with 17 laps complete. The Sprint Cup Series rolling through wine country. Nothing like a Sunday afternoon in Sonoma, California. Jeff Gordon is the race leader with 19 of 110 laps complete. Change for the runner-up position. The new man trying to run down Gordon would be Clint Bowyer. While we were away, he went around Jimmy Johnson for 2nd place on track, and he's pulled away from the 48 car. Martin Truex Jr., Kurt Busch complete the top 5. Clint Bowyer, who's finished 4th here on 3 different occasions, for whatever reason, has just adapted to this racetrack. Strong all weekend and backing it up here on Sunday. And he's another driver, when you talk about needing a victory, He'd like one. He's in the top 10, but he's yet to go to victory lane this season, Chris.
Yeah, he'd definitely like a victory, but one thing Brian Patty was telling me that both Clint Boyer and Martin Truex Jr. have been getting a lot out of the relationship that they've had this year with Mark Martin. Brian Patty was saying that early on these young drivers were typically doing what drivers do, complaining about things that they can't get fixed on the race car. But then when Mark was coming into these meetings, Mark was the one who would usually put his foot down and say, hey guys, they can't fix that. You just got to drive it. Let's focus on the things they can fix. Said the last month, these two young drivers have really come to life.
Pressure from behind, man. Just focus out front.
And last time around, Clint Boyer, 2.3 seconds behind race leader Jeff Gordon.
And as Kyle said, you want to get off the corner straight. And if you watch that 15 car, that's exactly what he's doing right now. He's getting in the corner really well, but he's driving off the corner, straight off the corner, and he's not abusing those rear tires. And that's going to be big when you get to the end of the race.
While we were in break, A.J. Allmendinger, who had worked his way up to 10th, after starting back in the 17th position, came to pit road, made his stop at lap 19. So we'll continue to follow that 22 car and see what kind of strategy they're on. You're right on board here with Greg Biffle. Great car in practice. Started up in the 4th position, but the man who entered 3rd in the championship now running 14th on track. It's Casey Kane you see in front of him.
Take a look at the foot cam on the 16 car. I think all these guys are left foot braking. I don't know if you know of anybody that's heel on toe these days, but most of these guys are all left braking. You can see, especially when we get down to 11, I'm sure he'll pump that left pedal a little bit just to make sure that there's going to be pedal when he gets down to turn 11. Kind of floated through 10 here. You get hard on the gas and tap that brake a little bit just to make sure the pads are there against the rotor.
And that's just a driver thing, just to tap it. That toe is connected straight to your mind saying, okay, I got a pedal, I got pedal.
Because we've all gone there when there wasn't a pedal at one time or another.
Exactly.
And we got to say a thanks to all of the technical people that work on our crew. One, who brought all the equipment from Michigan all the way out here to Sonoma. But number two, for shots like this, the crew's willing to let us put cameras in their cars, and we got a great bunch of people behind the scenes that give us some unbelievable pictures to tell the story from Sonoma.
And you see how he's working the throttle. He's actually working the throttle pretty easily, going nice and soft on it. That's what you got to do.
How about Kurt Busch? He was racing yesterday at Road America. Didn't practice the car here yesterday. He starts back in the 8th position. Right now he's running 5th, and as you can see, he's all over the back end of Martin Truex Jr.
And you know, as we said earlier, Kurt won this race last year. A little bit of pit strategy, but he won this race. He is an incredibly talented driver. I mean, we talk about all the things that go on and all his escapades as we see the 56 pit. So now we're in that window that Larry was talking about, 23 to 26, somewhere. That pretty much establishes what their strategy is going to be.
So here comes Martin Truex Jr. Started up in the 5th position, was running in the top 5, and he'll make his first pit stop of the afternoon at lap 23, Ralph.
42.50 in first gear. That's the RPM number they're looking for. They were going to wait till lap 24. They're bringing him a hair earlier than that because they wanted to make sure that they could get to this car and get that rear grip going. That's where he's been struggling. So now they got him down pit lane. You're going to see 4 tires in every single one of these cars today. Nobody's going to take 2. They made an air pressure adjustment, also a chassis adjustment to the left rear of this car. He is away with a good solid stop.
Oh, you pretty much have made your bed.
You have.
And now you guys stick with it.
And Larry could probably speak to this, and we've all, from a crew chief side, once you make that commitment, you have to stay with that commitment. You know, this is not a thing where you can change strategy in the middle of the race. Yeah. You've already pitted, you've lost all that track position, you've already gone that route. You just about have to ride it out from here.
Here you see Juan Pablo Montoya on track. He's running 8th right now, Marty.
Yeah, Adam, he's made some forward progress today, but a very interesting development inside the car for Juan Pablo Montoya. His tachometer is not working. They actually have a reset button for all the gauges. He's hit that several times. Nothing is on the tachometer. It's not registering anything. So I just have to wonder from Wally, the shifting points coming down pit road, all those things. But first I want to hear from Larry Mack exactly what can a crew chief do to help out with that. They've told him to use his oil pressure gauge, Larry Mack, coming down pit road to see if that'll help him gauge what pit road speed should be.
Yeah, Marty, there couldn't be a worse place for a driver to lose his tack, because not only will he be using it for pit road, he's going to use it to shift by. So what I see here, Montoya now will have to shift pretty much by the seat of his britches. But think about it. A lot of these stops are going to be made under green flag conditions, and you don't want to lose any time on pit road. So now when he looks at his tack, instead of seeing those green lights and those red lights that tells him he's going too fast, now the tack is pretty much going to look like that. What they're going to have to do is he's just going to be very conservative under that 40 miles per hour to make sure he doesn't get busted for speeding on pit road, because you have a penalty for that here at Sonoma. You pretty much can take yourself right out of contention to win this race.
I think Larry's giving drivers a lot more credit than they deserve, because I don't pay attention to the tachometer during the race. You know, you almost go by feel a lot of times. Now, obviously down pit lane, that's really going to hurt those guys. But during the race, I don't think it's as important for a driver to shift by the tack.
No, because you get used to the points on the racetrack that you're shifting.
Yeah.
You get used to, is it the start-finish line, wherever it is. We see Clint Boyer has got around the 24 car of Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, you know, Gordon was 2.3 seconds in front of Clint Boyer. Man, the 15 ran him down and got around him with no problem.
And again, what I'm seeing with that 15 car, the way he's driving off the corners right now, his car looks the best out of anybody right now as far as that.
And I think I heard on the radio, long way to go. Everybody be patient. We've only completed 25 of 110 laps this afternoon in Sonoma. Welcome back to NASCAR on TNT's live coverage of today's Toyota Save Mart 350. In Sonoma, California, the race leader is Clint Boyer. A few laps ago, he got around Jeff Gordon. Driver 24 is now slid back to third in the running order. Jimmy Johnson got around him. Time now for our KFC Fresh Off the Wire. Gordon started on the front row, led 13 laps early, and with those 13 laps led, he has now led 23,000 laps in his Sprint Cup Series career. That's incredible.
It's just like these guys are all getting to a certain point and the car's just, it just goes away. You know, Ambrose was this lap. And,
yes.
You know, then Gordon.
For more on what's fresh off the wire, presented by KFC, visit NASCAR.com. So Gordon led some laps early, but now he's fallen to fourth, Marty.
Yeah, Wally pegged it, though. Jeff Gordon said about 5 laps to go, this rear end is going away quick. And he said, just now those rear tires are gone. I have no rear grip at all. It went away so fast, everybody was able to get around him pretty quickly.
Can something like that change your thought process in regard to strategy mid-race?
I don't know about strategy, but I think maybe what Jeff's thinking about this time is next time he gets tires on it, maybe go easier. A little bit longer to try to keep the rear tires on.
And that's where the driver can manage that part of the race, and that part of the race for the crew chief is we talk about drivers managing fuel mileage and stretching an extra lap or whatever. If a driver goes too hard too quick, like Wally says, and burns them off in the first 5 or 6 laps, it really doesn't show up until the last 10 or 15 laps. But you know, somebody like Jeff, who has done this a million times and has won so much and is such a great driver, he can monitor that. We see the 16, these two cars, the 16 has fallen all the way back of Biffle, all the way back to where Carl was, and we talked earlier about Carl's struggle.
But in the family, you got the Roush Fenway leader right now is Matt Kenseth, who started 9th and has stayed inside the top 10. He's 6th right now, and a few spots behind him. How about this? Brian Vickers. There you see Kenseth on track. He's in the 6th position, and Brian Vickers, who is making his first start since Martinsville back in April in that 55 car, is driven from 21st to 9th in the running order. The MWR cars have come to play today. There he is right there behind Ambrose, who continues to drop. The pole sitter is 8th. And here comes Carl Edwards for a pit stop, Matt.
And one issue that he had, Adam, was the water temperature had climbed well over 255 degrees. We were talking about cleaning the grill. Also, his bigger issue, though, absolutely like everybody else in the field, he has burned up the right rear tires, or the rear tires, actually. And he said his biggest issue, possibly the right-handers as well. Big air pressure change for the 99.
That was a burnout right there. I don't know if you caught that or not.
Yeah, did you see that little flame up right there where the flames, where the fuel caught on fire as he drove away? And you know, Jeff continues to drop. We're back in 3rd and 4th place here, and Kyle Busch has just made steady progress and just run his laps, and he's right here knocking on the door of the 24 car. See Kyle rotate through the middle of the corner. Jeff gets on the gas right there. Kyle had to wait a minute, and you say, well, he got up off that corner good, but he got up off that corner good because he made the 18 slow down. It just looks like he got up off of it.
Martin Truex Jr. has already made a green flag stop. What can you tell us about their situation, Larry?
Well, what I've been trying to do is watch the scoring monitor. He pitted 7 laps ago at lap 23, which tells me certainly that he and Chad Johnston, his crew chief, they're on a 3-stop strategy. And I've been watching the scoring monitor, and he made a bunch of gains early, but now I'm looking, and it's almost like he's leveled back out with drivers like Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch that are sitting there 2nd, 3rd. So he made a bunch of gains early with the fresh tires, but now it's just kind of leveled out.
Thank you, Larry. We showed you a moment ago. Kyle Busch closing in on Jeff Gordon. He's been able to make the pass for 4th on track. Gordon, after leading 13 laps early, has dropped to 5th in the running order. Tommy Dreese made a green flag pit stop a moment ago. He was penalized by NASCAR, too fast entering. 31 of 110 laps complete at Sonoma. Clint Boyer, your leader, by 3.3 seconds over Jimmy Johnson. NASCAR on TNT back in Sonoma. Now let's take an inside look in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app and truly unlimited data on the Sprint network. There you see Brian Vickers. He's gone from 21st up inside the top 10 here this afternoon. Get live in-car audio and real-time stats on the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile Android app only from Sprint. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. A couple of lead changes here today. And now we're starting to see the cycle of green flag pit stops begin. Let's go to Marty Snyder.
Very interesting for Juan Montoya. We'll remind you he has no tachometer, so what they decided to do was base pit road speed off the oil pressure. They got that data from when he was in practice earlier this week. They knew the oil pressure was 20 PSI. That's all Montoya has for pit road speed. 4 tires, air pressure, trying to get that car to tighten up, Matt.
And Greg Biffle had to gingerly try to get out of his pit box. He was somewhat blocked in by the 11 of Denny Hamlin. They made a track bar adjustment to try to help give him more forward bite.
So Kenseth and Ambrose also making pit stops here.
If the 42 gets busted, I better be coming in. Because he had guys to go out with.
And I was getting ready to say the same thing. When he popped out there and he saw that 17, he rode right there. That was very smart thinking by Juan to find that car and just try to maintain because he knows he had no tack.
Here comes the race leader, Chris.
Yeah, and I think he's got the strongest car out there today by what I'm seeing it come off turn 11, but also listening to Clint Boyer on the radio. He is hooting and hollering in there, having a ball. No changes on this car, just 4 tires and fuel. Matt?
And Jimmy Johnson into his pit box. He said his car was really good in the braking zones. Its weakest spot, really, the high-speed corner. Chassis adjustment already completed. Left side's going on. What about his teammate, Marty?
Jeff Gordon said he lost all the drive off, Matt. He said it's all drive off. That's all we need, and we need to get back up front. It'll be 4 tires for Jeff Gordon. A little bit slow on the right front. 2 rounds down on the track bar. Ralph?
Kyle Busch is in with the 18, 4 tires and fuel. He also extremely wanted them to take out spring rubbers in the rear. That's what they did, Chris.
Well, Dale Jr.'s had his hands full for most of this race, saying the car very loose in the high-speed sections of the track early in the run, loose everywhere late in the run, so they're going to make an air pressure change to the 88.
They made a big change on his race car early in the week last week at Michigan. It kind of came to life. We'll see if the changes they make under these green flag pit stops here will help him pick off a few positions. Right now being scored as the race leader is Kurt Busch. He is yet to make his pit stop. Ryan Newman in front of Ralph.
Chassis adjustment to the right rear, 4 tires and fuel. He's got no rear grip, but he's away.
And these green flag pit stops producing another speeding penalty. Brian Vickers too fast on the exit as Kurt Busch comes down pit road. Chris?
Yeah, Kurt Busch, one of the last cars to get service down here. I spoke with him before the race about missing both practices yesterday because he was racing in Wisconsin. He said the car was so good, it wasn't a big deal. Obviously, that 51 working well today.
We talked here on Friday about how mental this racetrack is. Brian Vickers, not a lot of track time this year, caught speeding on pit road.
And that's got a lot to do with it. You know, you get in that rhythm, you get in the nuances of what it takes to be a Cup driver and drive Cup races. And there's little things. It's not just about hitting your marks on the racetrack. It's about hitting your marks everywhere. And that's a simple mistake to make. We see a lot of people over the last few weeks make that mistake.
Things have cycled through in our green flag pit stops. We'll reset the running order when we return to Sonoma. TNT tonight. There are many ways out, but only one way to win. Don't miss TNT's all-new competition series, The Great Escape, starting tonight, 10/9 Central, only on TNT. 37 of 110 laps complete here in Sonoma. The new race leader, Martin Truex Jr. He's in front of his teammate, Clint Boyer. But Truex pitted 11 laps earlier. Some of these strategies starting to unfold, Larry.
Well, when I look at the majority of our drivers that started making green flag pit stops like after Carl Edwards did at lap 29, starting with Brad Keselowski, Bobby Labonte at lap 31, it appears to me that these drivers right now, which like Chad Knaus told Matt Yoakum before the green flag, they could change his strategy. I think they all can make it on one more stop, pitting somewhere around lap 70. But Martin Truex Jr. and Chad Johnston in that 56 car, they look like they're committed to the three-stop strategy. They pitted there on lap 23. Their next stop should be around lap 52, with the final pit stop coming about lap 80. But the good news is they're getting advantage of the fresh tires. But as I pointed out earlier, guys, it just looks like to me it's only an advantage for a few laps.
Yeah, but Larry, you only need it for a few laps. And just so people at home watching, how many cars are on this three-stop strategy that you followed through the first part of the race? The 56 of Truex was really the only front runner that really made that commitment early on. How many other cars did you write down?
Well, I've got A.J. Allmendinger, who pitted at lap 19, which is way early. That means he's going to have to go a lot further than Martin Truex Jr. The one that's kind of borderline pitting at lap 29 is going to be Carl Edwards in that 99. If they can run somewhere north of 40 laps, they could still do it on two stops.
Let's listen in to the strategy being talked in the 56 camp pre-race. It's inside tracks.
They either need to make this 10 laps longer or 10 laps shorter, then it doesn't matter. We'll adjust that based on our mileage. We just want to come as early as we can. I just looked as early as I could, and then I split it up into segments so I keep the freshest tires on it I can.
What are you hearing now down in the 56 pit route?
You know, Larry, I can confirm what you're talking about. I was in their crew meeting earlier this morning in their hauler, and they did say, Chad said, yes, we are going for 3 stops today. That is our strategy. So 3 is the call for the 56.
Well, and you heard exactly what he said. With making that stop on lap 23, what they need to do now to keep the freshest tires that they can and keep it in even segments is run 29, 29, and 29 laps, which goes back to what I said, pitting somewhere around lap 52 and again around lap 80.
And Larry had mentioned another driver who came in early and made a pit stop, A.J. Allmendinger. He was running third when the cycle of green flag pit stops was complete. Little damage on the back end there, isn't there?
Yeah, we saw that. We saw Kurt Busch kind of put the bumper to him as you start through that last sweeping right-hander before the fast part through the S's, or at the end of the S's there. Because I think the 22, like Larry said, pitted on lap 19. He's got the oldest tires on the racetrack at this point in time. Kurt is on that 3-stop strategy. So when you look at it, those guys, he was just a lot faster through there. And there's a little bit of pavement.
And there's a little bit. Yeah, there's also time. You're also passing the car that you used to be in. So there's a little bit of that goes to it, too.
A little bit. You see it right here. He runs in on him, bounces off of him once, then gets on him and stays on him right there and just pushes him out of the way.
And if memory serves me correct, they had a little run-in at Watkins Glen last season on the road course up in New York. Jeff Gordon's just glad he's in front of it and not behind it and getting caught up in this mess. You got to give a call to both drivers, though. I mean, you got Kurt Busch, who started 8th. As we told you earlier, didn't practice the car yesterday, running the Nationwide Series up at Road America. He's right now in the 6th position. And A.J. Allmendinger didn't qualify great, 17th, but some nice strategy, and they put themselves inside the top 10. And that's Josh Wise off course over in turn 10.
Really good job of keeping that thing off the wall and getting that thing back on the racetrack and not in front of anybody or messing anything up.
Here's Joey Logano driving inside of the pole sitter. Marcos Ambrose and Casey Kane there as well. That's the battle for 10th. Logano now 10th, Ambrose 11th.
Marcus's car is just totally goes away after about 10 or 15 laps. And you know, he dropped 6 or 7 positions right there at the first time, then drops it another 5 or 6 on the next set of tires.
Oh, man.
Man, he just missed that corner completely.
He was carrying some speed through there.
Really good job right there.
One of the things we talked about the other day, Kyle, 11 turns, 11 opportunities to make a mistake. This is a tough place for drivers to get around. No issues right now for Truex and Boyer. They've led a bunch of laps, and they're running 1-2 with 41 laps complete. NASCAR on TNT, back live in Sonoma, California, bringing you coverage of the Toyota Save Mart 350. There's your race leader, Martin Truex Jr. He's got a 3.8-second advantage over his teammate in second place, Clint Boyer, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, and Kurt Busch now make up the top 5. Earlier on Countdown to Green, we were having some fun with twitter.com/#NASCAR. Had a little poll question we threw out there. Should there be a road course race in the 10-race chase? I'd love to know what you think. You can tweet your answers, #RoadYes or #RoadNo. And if you want to be a part of the conversation, as always, you can join us, twitter.com/#NASCAR. Why are we showing you Kurt Busch? Because he is getting after it right now, Wally.
Yep, he's made some pretty good moves. He passed Jeff Gordon earlier. He's one of the fastest cars on the track. He's got 9 seconds behind the leader, but here's the pass on Gordon. He's just all over him. Sets him up for turn 7. I just think, and Gordon just backed out of it a little bit earlier. He's just like, once you look in the mirror and you see somebody coming that fast and he's all over the back of you, it's going to happen. So
Gordon's won here 5 times. He understands the patience part of this process. 51 looks awfully good on track right now, Chris.
Yeah, Adam, and I talked to Kurt earlier, and he said, come into this smaller organization. He's obviously bringing a wealth of knowledge, and he said one of the toughest things we've been doing this year is as we work through a testing or a practice plan, maybe trying to try 5 different things, and when we get to the end of that, maybe it was the second thing that worked best. Trying to go back to that second thing just hasn't worked well. So this weekend he said, I'm going to try something different. On Friday, he found a setup that he liked, and he said, hey guys, that's what we're sticking with it. Do not touch the car. When he went to Wisconsin, he said, the only thing you guys can do is wipe the car off. I want it just nice and clean and exactly where I left it on Friday when I get back.
Kurt Busch hasn't smelled the front in a while. Last top 5 for him when he won at Dover last September. And it's been a while for Jeff Gordon as well, Marty.
Yeah, for Jeff Gordon, they had high hopes coming into the day, Adam, but the car just not going the right direction for Jeff Gordon, getting worse the longer they run on this run. Take a listen.
Yeah, the back is just terrible. I mean, well, all we've done is hurt the front. The back is really bad, and the front is just not turning up. Set for.
Jeff Gordon continuing to try and get his race car dialed in. The good news for him, he's still within shouting distance of the leaders, running in the 6th position. He started on the front row today with Ambrose, and the pole sitter now finds himself back in the 13th position. So that 9 team fighting their race car as we close in on halfway here at Sonoma.
And you know, you're going to get one more crack at getting this chassis right, and that's going to be the tough call to make for these guys. You know, they're trying to fix the back. They didn't fix the back and they hurt the front. That's the absolute worst direction you want to go in.
And not only when you don't fix the back of the car, or you make an adjustment and it doesn't fix and it does hurt the front, then the back going away on its own kills the front too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because then you're asking those 2 tires to do everything, to carry the whole car, to point the car in the right direction. It can't hook the car up when you go to the accelerator, obviously, but you're asking the front tires to put the car in position more because you can't go to the throttle and use that as a driving tool.
So now you got to go back on your change to get the front back to where it was, and then you still got to figure out, okay, now what are we going to do to get the back to hook up?
Casey Kane riding on board here. He's 10th right now, Matt.
one of 3 Hendrick cars at him in the top 10, and his comments to his team mirrored that of his teammate Jeff Gordon. One of his bigger issues, though, is being too tight up the hill. They made a wedge adjustment. It has helped the race car, but Kenny Francis told him, you need to start saving me some fuel. At this point, we are 3 laps short of making it on one more stop.
Thank you, Matt. One of the themes early in 2012 in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, not many cautions. We're caution-free so far today. This is the longest we've ever gone to start a race at Sonoma without seeing a yellow flag. Martin Truex Jr., the race leader. We are back in Sonoma, California. New race leader is Clint Bowyer. He took over the top spot when his teammate, Martin Truex Jr., gave it up to come down pit road, make his second stop of the afternoon at lap 48. Another driver who looks like he's going to try and do it on 3 stops, A.J. Allmendinger. He's pitting right now in front of Ralph.
A.J. Allmendinger is in. No chassis adjustments being made. Pretty happy with the car. As we've been talking about, they've made their bet as far as strategy. Now they just got to wait and see how it plays out. He's getting his 4 fresh tires and a full fuel load. He's away.
First stop of the day for the 22 came at lap 19. This service coming at lap 49. And now we update our AT&T Fastest Driver Challenge. And it would be Jimmy Johnson, who's second in the running order. That's quickest of those who qualified up front today. Text FAST to 34763 or visit attfastestdriver.com. You could win 4Gs just by playing. Brought to you by the nation's largest 4G network, AT&T. Rethink possible.
You just saw that 22 car leave pit road, and it was sluggish. You heard him. You could hear it, the audio on TV, that he was on the gas, and just really burning it. These guys, so many of these guys have gone to using first gear on the racetrack. Used to, many years ago, when the times I drove, I never used first gear, but they use first gear, so it's good for coming up off turn 11. It's good for a couple of different places, but it's really hard on the clutch and the getting out of pit road.
Larry, are you still on your original pencil as you continue to figure strategy?
Well, the biggest 2 drivers I'm paying attention to now, and as Wally and Kyle said, they have made their bed and they're going to have to lay in it, and that's Martin Truex Jr. and A.J. Allmendinger. Just watching the scoring monitor here with 60 laps to go, knowing that they have already made a second stop and they still have to make a third one, and most all the other drivers are just going to make an additional stop, I'm not convinced it's a race-winning move. I just think there's too many drivers that appears to be on a 2-stop strategy, because right now, Allmendinger and Truex will have to be back at pit road around lap 79 or 70, or lap 79 or 80, and it appears somewhere around lap 70 to 72, all the other drivers will make their final stop.
Well, you saw Truex get around Greg Biffle. The 56 car is in the 14th position. And after that last pit stop, we heard some interesting things in regard to strategy. Let's go inside tracks.
Like short pitting this next one, then whenever you get to 74, we all pit together, because everybody's going to be pitting around there. Like, the problem is you'll be behind, you'll be like 10th, in 2 stops to get to the same point with no cautions or no nothing. That's the only thing I'm worried about. What is it going to be advantageous?
The longer you wait, the longer you're not taking advantage of your tires. So.
All right, I love the conversation there, because I think the only way this strategy works, they're going to have a caution, because, guys, every driver has to make one more pit stop, and right now Martin Truex Jr. is 33 seconds behind leader Clint Bowyer.
And no sign of a caution. We're 4 laps from halfway, and we've not had a caution flag yet. And I'll tell you what, this is one of the great perspectives that we have.
Yeah, it's a great shot looking down on Martin. See him working the wheel, going down through the S's, coming up here on turn 10. Dive down on the inside. Trying to get Carl under braking.
His tires 19 laps fresher. That allows Truex to drive to the inside of Carl Edwards and make the pass for 13.
And even if you get that caution, I think you have to get that caution kind of late in order to be able to take advantage of you have better tires than everybody else.
And better track position to get to at least stay in that track. You know, when you're on new tires like this and you're 19 laps, you feel like a hero. Look at him. He's left, he's right. But the worst thing that happens to you is you run up on guys who have old tires and you have to run through this area at their pace. So when you should be using the good of your tires and could take advantage of it, you can't take advantage of it.
Truex in traffic. His teammate Clint Bowyer driving away. 52 laps complete in the 15 in front of Jimmy Johnson by 4.5 seconds. It is one of the great scenes in all of NASCAR. Sonoma, California and wine country playing host to the 16th race of the year for the Sprint Cup Series, the Toyota Save Mart 350. Clint Bowyer is the race leader at halfway as we go McDonald's through the field. Here's Chris Neville.
And Clint Bowyer's been quiet on the radio all day. That car is good early in a run, and it's good late in the run. The only radio conversation seems to really be coming from crew chief Brian Patty telling Clint, save your stuff. About 2 times a lap, he tells Clint, save your stuff and stay focused. Matt.
The least amount of complaints, Chris, from any driver in my area about forward bite has been the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Early in the race, Chad Canals told him, just be patient with your rear tires, and that's exactly what he's done. He says his car is very strong, especially in the braking zones.
Well, it's been a tough couple weeks for Kurt Busch, but things are going his way today. That car working very well. He's been quiet on the radio, but the team has been telling him, Clint, we need you to start saving some fuel, especially that last segment, in case we get into a green-white checker situation. Marty.
Well, Jeff Gordon was hoping for a little bit better today, but the car not as bad on this run as it was on the first run. He said again on the radio, we heard earlier, the front end just not working. They're talking about pulling a spring rubber from the left rear spring, about 20 laps from stops. Ralph?
Kyle Busch last pitted on lap 34. He's now into the portion of the run where the crew chief just says, hey, buddy, just hang on, keep it going, because he just reported in that he's dealing with wheel hop and that the car is horrible on power. He's got to get to around lap 68, Marty.
Well, somewhere back here, Ralph, is Juan Pablo Montoya, who's been having a heck of a day, and it's getting worse. Remember earlier we told you no tachometer for Montoya. They've had a fuel alarm come on lately, and now he says he has no volts on the car. Electrical gremlins really plaguing that 42 car. In front of him, Casey Kane with Matt.
And Kane just made that move. Kenny Francis telling Casey once again, save gas when you're going down the hills. They're going to try to pit around lap 70 to 71. Making a lot of headway is the 14 car of Tony Stewart. He has climbed up to the 7th position now. Stewart in the same portion as the previous run. His car going to the free side, but he's definitely making good moves up through the field, Chris.
Well, the championship leader, Matt Kenseth, is having the day he kind of wanted to have. He was hoping to finish in the top 15. Right now, sitting 9th, but the car just not biting the racetrack the way he wants. He said it's kind of floating up onto the racetrack. They're thinking about making an air pressure change for that final stop. Ralph?
Martin Truex is about 10 laps into this second run of his. Now is when he's got to be easy on the car. He's got good tires, fresh tires. He's making his way through the field, Larry. He's just got to be easy so he has something left when he gets to the later stages of the run.
Yeah, Ralph, the driver I'm watching is Kevin Harvick. Right now, he's the highest running driver for Richard Childress Racing. Started back in the 26th position, running 12th right now. He should be one of the drivers that should make that stop around lap 70. Just been hunting speed all weekend long. We've got a special group of kids here cheering for Kevin Harvick, a group of children from the Boys and Girls Club of America. Kevin has a program that helps these students have hope and stay focused despite any social or economical situations.
Thank you, Larry. And right behind Kevin Harvick on track would be Brian Vickers. He was running inside the top 10, got caught speeding on pit road. He's rallied back up, running in the 13th position. It's his teammate who has the field in tow right now. That would be Clint Bowyer. His advantage over second place Jimmy Johnson, 4.6 seconds. Kurt Busch, Jeff Gordon, and Kyle Busch join him inside the top 5 at Sonoma. 59 of 110 laps complete in the Toyota Save Mart 350 from Sonoma, California. There is your race leader, Clint Bowyer. Caution free so far this afternoon. And the Coca-Cola in-car camera on TNT Race Buddy lets you ride shotgun with a Coca-Cola Racing family driver. Go to NASCAR.com and check out the Coca-Cola in-car camera on TNT Race Buddy.
Tell you what, Kurt Busch may just run down Bowyer and pass him.
While we were away, went around Jimmy Johnson for second.
is the rear suspension of the one car, Jamie McMurray. Gives you a pretty good idea how the rear of these cars work on this place, especially when they clobber a curb or two, but this is down in turn 11.
McMurray right now 18th. You see him riding behind Greg Biffle.
See how much movement the suspension have on these cars around this place. Takes a beating.
Wouldn't you like to see the exterior of that camera when they pull it off the underneath of this race car?
Watch that right rear just compress right there up that hill. We'll see if he clobbers a curve down here. Yep. I don't know how the spring stays in the bucket.
Yeah. You know, you watch the pinion angle there. That's the drive shaft on the right, the white thing, and that's the gear that is the big orange thing almost just to the right of the center of the shot. It's amazing how much the rear end moves up and down, and the pinion angle, and how tough that is when he goes back to the gas, how hard it is on the yoke.
Gives you a good idea how these things work around here.
And then we wonder why they break. You know what I mean? As a driver, you get out of them, it's like, well, why did that break? You know, and you're able to actually see, like we're showing right now, the parts and pieces and the travel and how hard they are.
See out the curves, they're like, I never hit the curves.
I never saw a curve. That's a good shot.
As you ride with Jamie McMurray here, David Gilliland made a pit stop. He was penalized too fast exiting a moment ago. So McMurray right now scored in the 18th position, and it won't be long before he's in front of his teammate, Juan Pablo Montoya, who's having a host of problems this afternoon, Marty.
Yeah, Adam, about 15 minutes ago, he said, boys, we're in trouble. And I'll say they're in a heap of trouble in terms of all the electrical issues. They're going to come to pit road here pretty quick. But what they're going to change is the relay inside the car. That's what's causing all the electrical problems. The no tachometer he's had all day long. The fuel warning light that's been coming on all afternoon long. They're going to pit right now, Larry Mack. That's not a quick fix, is it?
No, it isn't, Marty, because here's the relay box. Now, I talked earlier about the electronic fuel injection. This right here, the red box, is the brains of the electronic fuel injection. It's called the ECU box. It's what controls the entire system. But what controls a lot of the electrical current to the ECU and to the fuel pumps is a relay box. And just think about it as like a fuse box in your home. And you have these little breakers right here, these little circuit breakers. It's going to be simple to change because all they have to do is undo this one connector and change the box out. But just think about it, Adam, they don't have the luxury of lifting the body off that 42 car like I do.
Yeah, they don't have a cutaway car. Their machine is full bodied.
Yeah, but why take the box out? Just unhook it and hook a new box in and duct tape it on there. I mean, that would be a lot faster than taking the box out.
Yeah, it seems to be. You see the guy inside the car right here. He's replaced the box, and you see one reach over. He's asking him.
Thumbs up. So that's, I mean, thumbs up is a good sign.
Yeah, that's pretty fast.
Go ahead, Marty.
And that was Will Bragg, the engine specialist, who hopped in the right side window. I would say that's about a world record for changing out a relay box on pit road. Nice job by these guys. Actually, Chris Eroy, the crew chief, high-fived a bunch of guys and clapped when they left pit road. I think they're finally happy to have a full electrical system. We'll see if it pays off here late in the race for Juan Pablo.
The pit stop double what it would normally take to get service. 25 seconds, incredible for what they just did.
Anything speed, maybe, on pit lane.
That's pretty impressive. Hopefully his tack will come back and some of that stuff. The tack was the first telltale sign that he was having electrical problems.
The lead for Clint Boyer, 5 seconds over second place Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch, the top 5 at Sonoma. NASCAR on TNT back at Sonoma. Let's go inside the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Brought to you by the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app and truly unlimited data on the Sprint network. Most laps led today, that would be Clint Boyer. 27 circuits he's been out front this afternoon. Get live in-car audio and real-time stats on the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile Android app only from Sprint. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. Top speed today, Jeff Gordon, 148 miles per hour. And Gordon right now in the 4th position. And after dropping back early, he had led some laps, faded. Gordon starting to rally a little bit now.
When did he pit?
What lap? Last pitted at lap 34.
Yeah, because he's running good lap times right now.
In fact, if you look at that group inside the top 10, they're all in that same strategy, pitted around 34, 35, somewhere in that neighborhood, with the exception of Martin Truex Jr., who is 6th right now, and he's already pitted twice. His last stop at lap 48.
All these guys, and you're right, Jeff is pitted, and whatever that adjustment was, it helped some. You know, he was still complaining about no rear grip, front going away, but he has run down the 48. He's come back up through there. He's running some really solid lap times. But when you look at the lap tracker, Kyle Busch has just gone, or Kurt Busch has just gone to another place.
Yeah.
I mean, he has driven past these two cars a little bit earlier, and he has just gone to another place. He is a good, consistently 3 or 4 tenths faster per lap. Now, he's a pretty good ways behind the 15 car of Clint Bowyer, but he has put this car right in the thick of things from pit strategy and pit stop wise.
You saw there via twitter.com/#NASCAR from the 24 camp, Alan Gustafson, the crew chief for Jeff Gordon, trying to motivate his driver. Here's Gordon pulling out a line to the inside of Jimmy Johnson. This would be for 3rd, no problem, completing the pass down in turn 11. But as Kyle pointed out, Gordon and Johnson 4 seconds behind Kurt Busch, who's in the runner-up position. Matt, what's the latest on the 48?
And the reason why Jimmy Johnson let his teammate go by, Chad Knaus could see on the monitor, said, if you want to try to save a little bit more fuel, just go ahead. We're closing in on that next round of pit stops, about 3 to 4 laps.
Yeah, the green flag pit stop scheduled here at Sonoma just around the corner. We're going to step aside. We'll have them for you when we come back. 68 laps complete in wine country. Your race leader is Clint Bowyer. 69 laps complete in the Toyota Save Mart 350 in Sonoma, California. There is your race leader, Clint Bowyer. His advantage over 2nd place Kurt Busch, 2.7 seconds. The last time Clint pitted, lap 34. His teammate, Martin Truex Jr., who's 6th on a different strategy. Let's go inside tracks.
So how's our strategy working with a 3-stop versus a 2-stop?
We'll probably pit about the same time that the rest of these guys do.
We will.
So we'll make our last stop at the same time that they would. Like they're already saving fuel right now. They're getting ready to stop again. We'll stop closer with them so we don't lose as many spots, and we'll be able to go. It'll be about 13 gallons when they really want it packed. So stay in as long as you can with the first one, so that when you come back with a second, that's the one that's packed.
What do you make of that, Larry?
Well, what they've got to make sure they don't do is stay out there too long, and all the leaders make a green flag pit stop, and then a caution comes out and burns them. Chris Neville.
Well, Matt Kenseth just was in, did 4 tire change, quarter pound of air out of both rear tires. Marty.
Taking in. Bernard.
Ralphie. AJ Allmendinger is in. He's taking 4 tires of fuel. He's away. Waiting on the 18. He's next. Nobody's talking to me.
Let's go back down to Chris Neville. More green flag stops. What's happening in front of you, Matt?
The 48 of Johnson is in. Right side's already on. And Chad Knaus told him, just back up your throttle on entry to help save some fuel, but you can pick up your points on the throttle anywhere you want, Ralph.
Kyle Busch was asked if he wanted a chassis adjustment. He said, no, sir, just air pressure. Just air pressure for the 18. That's it. 51 is in as well.
Well, Kurt Busch will be coming in this lap. That car is going to be coming in and trying to clean the grill because Busch says the car is very good. However, his water temp running about 280 degrees.
And with Clint Bowyer making his pit stop, Kurt Busch has cycled through as the race leader. This is exactly what happened in the cycle of pit stops when all these guys came down earlier, anywhere from lap 33 to 35.
And if Busch can get a good pit stop out of this deal, looks like the 24 may have run out of fuel.
Gordon 2nd right now, but slow down the back straight there, Marty.
Yeah, he's out of fuel. He didn't get the signal to come to pit road, and now he can't get to pit road. Look at all the traffic Jeff Gordon's trying to get through. Finally gets his way to pit road. What a heartbreak for these guys. The car had finally gotten where he had wanted to, but Jeff Gordon completely out of fuel, Adam.
And this tough for Casey Kane, too, because Kane has to slow his speed behind Gordon here.
Yes, he has to slow down. No matter what Jeff's running, he's got to slow down and stay off of Jeff at that point in time. Jeff slowed down that entry, and you can make time on that entry. So that really hurt Casey as far as getting into the pits and getting to the cone.
Kane's in, Matt.
What an impressive day they have had, pretty much running top 10 most of the day. They are waiting on fuel. Kenny Francis says, wait on me to make sure we have a fully loaded. Tony Stewart pitted as well. Both Hendrick engines, they are away.
Jeff Gordon crawls to pit road, Matt. He limps into his pit stall, completely out of fuel. The car not fired at all. They'll do the 4-tire change. They'll have to try and get it cranked here. There it does crank for Jeff Gordon, so he will be able to leave pit road. But obviously, they lost a ton of time waiting on Alan Gustafson here to make sure the tank is completely full for Jeff Gordon, who leaves pit road.
Well, you're right, Marty. They lost a ton of time on that deal. I thought this was going to be the place to get his monkey off the back. Doesn't look like it's still there.
Jamie McMurray getting his service here.
Yeah, I was going to say, Wally, for Jeff Gordon or Jamie McMurray leaving pit road, he said his car just completely falls off in the second half of the run. They made a track bar and air pressure adjustment trying to get that car a little bit getter. Gets way too loose at the end of a run.
Yeah, they probably lost, I bet, 40 seconds because of running out of fuel, if not more. So that really put him in a bind.
Jeff Gordon was second when he ran out of fuel. Right now he's 15th, and it's possible he could drop further than that as this thing cycles through. We'll keep an eye on it. Martin Truex Jr. back out front. He last pitted at lap 48. He's one of the drivers that didn't come in right here. It's Clint Boyer and Kurt Busch right behind him on track.
Hey, Adam, two things. What makes me nervous about Jeff Gordon, if we don't have a caution, he's going to have to try to run the same amount of laps that he just tried to run to get to the lap 110 to finish this race. But Martin Truex Jr., I go back to what I was trying to say before we broke out in those green flag pit stops. If he keeps going and we get a caution, he is absolutely in trouble. They need to bring him to pit road pretty quick because all of these other drivers, they're not going to pit if the caution comes out right now, and he would have to restart all the way behind all of the top 23 drivers that are on the lead lap.
And Larry, the sooner that he pits, in fact, here he comes right now, that gives him that much more time to make that ground up on track. Am I correct?
Well, exactly. But the biggest thing, he had to get there on pit road to make sure a caution didn't come out and just take him completely out of contention.
Last time for Truex on pit road, lap 48. This stop going to come at lap 73. Ralph, take us through the stop.
Well, they're thinking this will be their last time. Now watch as he comes rolling down pit road right, and I'll tell you when the crew chief tells him. Here, there, see, he jumps on the gas a little bit and lurches that car right into the box. That's working those timing loops brilliantly for the 56. Here they change all 4 tires. No chassis adjustments being called. No, there it is, a quick chassis adjustment on the left rear at the last second. He wanted more forward bite. That's what they're going to do. He's full of fuel, he's away.
The pit stop for Truex, 13.5 seconds. His advantage on track before he came to pit road was 14 seconds. That puts his teammate back out front. Clint Boyer, Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, and Kyle Busch, the top 4 at Sonoma. Clint Boyer, the race leader in the Toyota Save Mart 350 in Sonoma, California. And now we update our AT&T Fastest Driver Challenge. Jimmy Johnson, the best of the 4 drivers that qualified up front today. Sign up next week by texting FAST to 34763 or visit attfastestdriver.com. Brought to you by the nation's largest 4G network, AT&T. Rethink possible. This is a great shot on board with McMurray.
I like the shot on the left side. The shot on the right side is obviously from the roof of the car, but the shot on the left side is really almost from the passenger's side. And you can see, you get the sensation of speed just a little bit more. You see him brake hard, you see it load on the front, up the hill there, catch another gear right here. You see over the bump. You can see the car from this angle. The camera actually takes the bumps when you take it. You see that rough spot? Boom, he's up on the curve there, he's up on the curve there. You see the side jump around. It's a really good shot, and it does show speed. through the S's here. He hits the little ripple strips on the left side. Back over to the right side, you see the car bump. To the left side, he's up on that ripple strip. To the right side, he's up on that one. Then this is fast right here. And this is where he runs up through the gears, catches it right here. You see right on the inside, and this is turn 10. So when he comes through here, he's got to hit that apex right. Drifts out right to the dirt, straight down into turn 11. Hard on the brakes, and you see that bump right there as you come in. A lot of wheel hop starts there with these guys when you hit that bump because it loads and unloads really quick. This is up off of it, up off turn 11 and back to the start-finish line and pits right on your left.
Closing on 30 laps remaining in the Toyota Save Mart 350. Last time a road course race went caution-free, it's been a while. 1979 at Riverside. How fast is Clint Boyer in Sonoma? He's working on Kevin Harvick to put him one lap down. Harvick right now in the 23rd position.
But Harvick ran out of gas. The only reason he's in 23rd, and we didn't approach it, we didn't bring it up on that last pit stop, so I don't know how we missed it. But the 29 car ran out of gas. And you see, while the 15 car has been messing with Harvick here, if you can see in a couple of these shots, the 51 car right there of Kurt Busch has closed that gap. This has totally changed the race. Harvick running out of gas, Boyer catching him at just the wrong time and having to mess with him has changed this part of the race.
And Kurt's been, I mean, he's been fast the whole race. These guys have done an outstanding job. I mean, he lost a little bit of time on the pit stop, but he has been making it all on the racetrack.
Yes.
And this being my second pick, I'm very happy about that.
He was like 5 seconds back after the green flag stops, and the difference last time around was 2.7 seconds. Our poll today at twitter.com/#NASCAR. Should there be a road course race during the chase?
Oh,
the answer, everyone's saying #road yes, 74%.
I agree with that.
And as always, you can be a part of the conversation at the track and throughout the week at twitter.com/#NASCAR.
And just that little bit, that lap of Boyer messing with the 29 car, he cut it in over half. It went from 2.7 to 1 second.
Yeah, let's see what he loses now.
Yeah. now that he's got to now that he's got to mess with it. But that shows how important it is to catch somebody and get around him. And look, Harvick pulls over and let the 51 go, which totally negates that. You know, they're back in that. They're in that thing where all that Boyer could hope for is that Harvick would hold the 51 up a little bit, but he didn't.
And you can see here how he was gaining on him lap by lap. And really, these are the only two guys in the same area code. Kurt a second back, Jimmy Johnson in third, 16 seconds back, and there's Tommy Dreese. Hit the wall hard yesterday in practice, and he has done it again. Our first caution of the day.
Just hold there, man.
That will be a caution. Hope everybody at home sees this one.
Took us 81 laps, and finally we get our first caution of the day at Sonoma. And that big lead that Clint Boyer and Kurt Busch had over everybody else, wipe it out.
But even at that, they are still, if they can pit and come out in those positions, they're still right now the class of the field.
Clint Boyer, the race leader, under caution for the first time today. Coming back on TNT. Under caution for the first time today in Sonoma, California. 28 laps to go in the Toyota Save Mart 350. The race leader is Clint Boyer. Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex Jr. are the top 5. Let's go down to Matt Yoakum. Report on Tony Stewart.
And a host of cars hitting pit road, including the 14 of Tony Stewart. They were more than a lap and a half short of making it. So Steve Addington calling the audible, hit him to pit road, get 4 sticker tires and top them off so there are no issues, even if we get a green-white checker finish.
For Marcos Ambrose, Matty came in. He wanted more drive off, especially off of 11, so they give him a track bar and a wedge adjustment, trying to get that car a little bit better. They come in running 9. There's 22 cars on the lead lap. Interesting decision. Ralph?
A.J. Allmendinger came in. He's taking fuel and 4 tires. He is away.
Who's lucky dog is who?
Kevin Harvick gets the free pass here.
There you go.
The top 5, and some others stayed out. Clint Boyer still your race leader. We'll set the field for those guys who pitted after a break on TNT. Under caution in Sonoma, California. Tommy Dreese spun, hit the wall. He's climbed from the car Made the ride in the ambulance to the care center, and here's a replay of what happened.
Yeah, and it's hard to see. That's the shot we have. It's hard to see whether he got help at that point or not. We talked about it earlier. When a slow car gets in front of you in that area, we saw the 51 get into the back of the 22 right through that same area, push him out of the way.
Top 7 cars stayed on track, did not pit. Clint Boyer is your race leader with 84 complete in California. Let's go inside the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app and truly unlimited data on the Sprint network. Fastest 4-tire stop today, Tony Stewart's guys, 12.1 seconds. Get live in-car audio and real-time stats on the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile Android app, only from Sprint. Eight lead changes today among 5 different drivers. The reason we're under caution, Tommy Dreese got turned around over in the S's. He has been released from the care center. Top 7 cars under this caution did not pit. Clint Boyer, Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Casey Kane, and Casey Mears. Brian Vickers will restart 8th. He and the rest of the field did come down pit road, and Kevin Harvick gets the free pass under this, the first caution of the day. The American Ethanol Sweepstakes is happening now. Log on to NASCAR.com/AE Sweeps for your chance to win one of 3 Chevrolet Silverados. American Ethanol, American grown, American made, powering NASCAR. The caution is cleaned up. We're going to go back green. That big lead for Clint Boyer is gone. This brings guys like Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Casey Kane right back into the game. The green flag goes in the air as we complete lap 86. And the green is out right now, and here we go, back at it at Sonoma.
Boyer got a good start, just what he needed. Really didn't want to go up there side by side with Kurt.
They're going to do it for 3rd. Jimmy Johnson inside of Kyle Busch had the preferred line.
I tell you what, the Kurt Busch is not going to, he's not going to give him too much room for the rest of this lap.
Little contact there. I think Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Busch behind that battle for the lead.
This is where Kurt Busch has been really, really good through here. See if he can set him up for a pass under braking. No, not close enough.
But you see Kyle Busch.
There comes Truex down there on the bottom underneath Kyle.
Yeah, and that happened all the way back over in turns 3 and 4, where it opened the door with Jimmy Johnson and the 18 of Kyle Busch running side by side.
And all these drivers know this is a great time to make up ground on this restart.
Yeah, and we talked about this. You know, we talked about it in an opening. You maintain where you need to be the first third of the race, and that's what these guys did. You set yourself up for position in the second third of the race, so the middle part of the race there. And I think when you look at that, that's what the 51 car of Kurt Busch and what the 15 of Boyer have done, is put themselves in the right position. And this is the part of the race where you have to be aggressive, and we see that on this restart already.
Jeff Gordon ran out of fuel earlier. You see him driving inside of A.J. Allmendinger down there in turn 11. Now the leaders flashing across the start-finish line. That left-hander at turn 1, uphill to turn 2. Boyer in front of Kurt Busch, but can't pull away.
So you got Vickers up there in the 7th spot. He's worked his way back from serving that pit road penalty, because he was 40 seconds behind not too long ago.
He has driven a great race today. No matter what, you see the 14 and the 17 right there get into each other and gouge each other just a little bit. Let's see if Tony goes to the inside and tries it right here.
Kenseth got off track just for a second, and that opened the door for Tony Stewart. Give the 14 another position.
Somebody got into the 14. You see the damage in the left rear.
And again, you see the 17 car and the 14 car. They gouge each other a little bit, and Matt loses 3 positions between turns 4 and turn 7 right there. A lot of smoke back there. Yes, there is.
That's up at turn 7. Jamie McMurray around. That's going to cost him a ton of track position.
And this is what we've talked about from the very beginning, from going green, was these guys are getting aggressive with each other. And when you lose this many track positions, you know, with 20, 30 laps to go, you see Jamie down on the inside.
Jamie got
did that to himself.
In trouble there,
Yeah, he did that to himself. He just drove in. Great job by Biffle hanging on to that.
McMurray was in the 18th position. Now he's the final car on the lead lap, 10 seconds off the race lead.
But that's just being aggressive. He was trying to make something happen 2 or 3 wide right there.
Talked about Tony Stewart, his move around Matt Kenseth. Smoke started 24th. He is now 8th in the running order.
Boy, Kurt Busch is just closing the gap a little bit every lap.
I'm going to tell you, you keep Kurt in the race this late and give him a sniff of victory in this 51 car and everything that's gone on with him. Nobody ever took away from his driving talent. Everybody said an incredible driver. He just had to get his head straight off the racetrack. You give him a sniff of this is going to be, he's going to be hard, man. He's going to be hard on Clint. But Clint's the same way. Clint's up there running. He's got something to prove, too, that he can win anywhere, anytime. Right. And it's important on a road course to
Boyer's having to drive harder now than he has all race, too. So we're starting to see what exactly these two front drivers have as far as race cars go, because everybody's having to step their game up a little bit.
And let's remind everyone, 2 weeks ago at Pocono, Kurt Busch not at the racetrack, suspended by NASCAR. He's back and looking good here today. And one more time, let's go look back and look at the replay of Jamie McMurray when he went around up at turn 7. This replay from inside the cockpit.
Tony Stewart taking another spot, so is Logano.
You hear it hopping.
Yeah, wheel hop, yeah. But he just drove it down in there hard. That's what happens. I mean, if you drive it in too hard and you get on the brakes late and you're downshifting all at once, that's when you get the wheel hop.
Yeah, and the audio, you could hear the thing wheel hop. It sounds like you're going over a railroad track. It just rattles, rattles, rattles. And the thing got the wheel hop, and he, as soon as he got out from under him, he stood in the gas and stayed in it and spun it back around. Fortunate for him, everybody went to the outside. Nobody tried to cut that corner because we've seen pileups in that corner before.
Talking a lot about Clint Bowyer and Kurt Busch here on this restart. What about the man in third right now, Matt?
Matt, before the caution, Chad Knaus kept cautioning Jimmy Johnson to try to save fuel. They were about a lap and a half short, and then the caution recycled everything. Chad told him, we are good to go now. You have the green light. Go as hard as you can. But several teams out of my area, their bigger concern is Vickers back in the 55 because fresh tires, not racing for points, just pride.
Yeah, Vickers, one of those drivers that came down pit road at lap 83. So did Tony Stewart, who is right behind him. What's the story in the 55 camp, Marty?
Well, as Wally mentioned, they had that pit road speeding penalty exiting pit road on the first stop of the day, so they've really recovered, and they have made so few adjustments on Brian Vickers' car, and that's the one thing they keep telling him. Remember, you have fresher tires than everybody else. They pitted, took 4 tires on that last stop, and he's certainly gaining on the guys in front of him.
Brian Vickers making his 3rd start of the year. Marty talked about the adversity of speeding on pit road. Remember back in March, made his debut. He said, I can't believe it. I finally got a ride, and I got to go to Bristol and race. And he finished inside the top 5 and led laps. And here he is in the top 5 again on the road course at Sonoma.
Get 20 laps to go, though. You're going to have to. It's all in right now. Vickers back 4 seconds.
Clint Bowyer at one time today had a 5-second advantage. That caution closed things up. He's back in front of Kurt Busch now by a half a second with 20 remaining here in Sonoma. The aggression starting to heat up in Sonoma, California. Clint Bowyer, the race leader. Kurt Busch behind him. Jimmy Johnson is 3rd with 17 laps remaining. Then back behind them, you have got a dogfight. While we were at break, Brian Vickers going around Kyle Busch. This is when it starts to happen at Sonoma, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it is. You see Vickers. We've talked about him. He gets a good strong run up off that corner and dives to the inside. I don't think Kyle thought he was going to go there at that point in time. Here he is, just in this place. Now, this is a tough place to be too wide, and this is just a power move. He gets hooked up on the outside, noses ahead enough that Kyle knows he's got to give up that position before they get to this point. That's a power move by Vickers right there. Yeah, just a little bit, not really a lot. I mean, you can expect that. We've seen guys body slam. That's a good job of Vickers staying off of Kyle, and Kyle giving him a little room, knowing that he was there, knowing they had to come out the other side of that corner and didn't want to lose anything else.
Real difficult what Vickers did to stay on the outside on that left-hander.
Another spin here.
Yeah, got one around. That's Denny Hamlin. He was running inside the top 10. That's not going to help his day. And now Harvick has nowhere to go.
And that kills Harvick. Harvick had just passed all these cars that you see going by Harvick. Harvick had worked his way back around those guys. And Vickers to the right right rear corner of that, it looks like Vickers has had a little bit of help, getting down in there.
It's like Hamlin got hammered by Logano.
Oh, Logano
his teammate.
Yeah, his teammate just kind of gets down in there, and I don't think he expects Denny to come back across right there because he had already stuck his nose in there. That's what we're seeing this time of the race, and you see Harvick go to the outside.
And that dropped Harvick back to 20th in the running order.
Well, that's all 3 Gibbs cars. Yeah, all 3 Gibbs cars.
And they were all running in the top 10.
All made contact.
Yeah, all made contact with each other.
That's a car owner's nightmare right there.
Denny Hamlin 21st right now, running in the top 10. So Clint Bowyer, the race leader, with 16 to go. Let's go through the field, presented by McDonald's. Chris Neville, get us going.
Well, I think Clint Bowyer's going to be tough to beat today. His crew chief Brian Petty is telling him, stay focused and make sure that 15 is straight before you pull the trigger trying to get off turn 11. That car rarely locking the right front going into 11 and rarely sliding the rear coming off 11. The 15 looks so strong. Right behind him, Kurt Busch, he led 770 laps last year. He's only led 6 this year, but he's hoping to lead that last lap. That car also looks strong, but he's definitely locking up the right front and sliding the rear off 11. Matt?
When Jimmy Johnson first hit Sprint Cup Series competition, he really thought his off-road experience would translate to success on the road courses, but he said, especially Sonoma, this place is so technical and finesse-wise, it's taken him a while, but he won here 2 years ago. He's been very strong last year and currently runs 3rd, Marty. In fact, Jimmy hasn't said anything on the radio, but his lap times mirror that of 2nd place Kurt Busch.
Well, we saw the outstanding move from Brian Vickers to get the 4th position. Last week he was in Le Mans running the 24 hours, had a good result there, and Adam mentioned a moment ago, he finished 5th at Bristol earlier this year in his first ride in the 55. Looks like he might do better than that here in Sonoma, Matt.
What a day for 5th place Tony Stewart. Started back in 24th, worked his way up much of the day. Then that caution was the game changer for the 14 team. They were over a lap and a half short on fuel. They were able to hit pit road, top off, and get 4 brand new tires. He's making the most of it, and side bite is especially good. Ralph?
Well, the problem for Martin Truex is he's just dealing with what he's got, and that's not a whole lot with 14 laps left to go. This is that stage of the races where you have exactly what you're dealt, and you got to play those cards, Marty, and it's just a question of how long and how hard can you drive it to the finish. He's trying to nurse everything out of it he possibly can, just doesn't have a whole lot left in the car.
Terrific rally at the end of the race, Ralph, for Joey Logano in the 7th position. He's one of those cars who pitted a while ago, restarted 12th, but I'm sure he's going to replay the move with Denny Hamlin, his teammate, over and over in his head. But a nice run here from Logano, looking at another top 10. It'd be his 4th in the last 6 races, Ralph.
When he was just a kid, A.J. Allmendinger ran his very first race here at Sonoma on the twisting road course in a shifter cart in the driving rain. Tires weren't very good that day. He's got good tires right now. He's one of those cars that dove down and took tires when the yellow came out. He's trying to get everything he can out of it in front of his friends and family. He's from Los Gatos, just south of Sonoma.
And Ralph, another local is Jeff Gordon, who just went around him for the 8th position. And here he comes, proving once again that he has a very fast car today. It looked like he was going to be in a position to get his 10th career road course win, but this a microcosm of a season. Gordon leading, had trouble running out of gas. Looks like we have a battle for the lead, Adam.
Yes, we do. Clint Bowyer trying to become the 6th consecutive driver to win on a road course for the first time here at Sonoma. The guy that did it last year, Kurt Busch, trying to deny him. He's right in his hip pocket.
And what I've seen, when Kurt last pit back on 72 or something like that, but Kurt's car stays even the whole run. I mean, you'll see some of these guys start coming back to him, but Kurt's car is very consistent. Boy, he's looking. He's there. Look right here.
Yeah,
at the bottom here.
He rolled in there pretty hard and lost it on the exit to that corner a little bit. Kurt did, but he is all over this 15 car. And I think it's like you said, Wally. His car is
by 2. He's just braking a little bit later. He's using his stuff up earlier as you are.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, Kurt is there. He's letting that thing roll through the corner. He's making good time through turn 10 here. You watch him get into turn 10 right here and come off. He makes good time and accelerates down this little short chute into turn 11 and has closed it up.
By 2, protect the bottom, protect the bottom, protect the bottom. Set by 1, set by half.
Oh, I'm here.
I'm here.
And just
All good. Straight drive's off. Clear by 1 already.
And that's gamesmanship right there. I'm not going to wreck you. I'm not going to mess with you. I'm just going to tell you I'm here.
Stay
and
focused.
if you make a mistake, it's going to be, I'm going to take advantage of that mistake.
And that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do is, Kurt, you want to keep those mirrors full at all times, because if the guy in front of you is looking in the mirror all the time, he's going to make a mistake eventually.
You know, and Kurt's really good through the top part of the racetrack, which is the slow part of the racetrack. You see Kurt close on him right there, close on him up off these corners.
Just trying to force the mistake, man. You're doing fine. Just hit your marks. You'll be fine here.
Yeah, and look, everybody knows the game. You see Kurt through here, he's better through here, but he's just a little bit off when he gets that bump. Hits that second set of ripple strips, his car gets a little bit free. That's where, as we've talked about Boyer all day, he gets the car set and accelerates up off the corner. Clint Boyer has done a phenomenal job today. If anybody thought Clint Boyer wasn't the real deal and couldn't drive a race car at some point in time, think again, because my man has done a great job here today, no matter what happens.
Yeah, he's kept the thing. He's doing a good, smooth job, and he's, like you said, his key all day has been driving his car straight off the corner. But this is the part where you cannot let Kurt Busch get close enough under braking here. All he needs is another half a car length in these corners, and he's going to outbrake Clint. So, I mean, Clint cannot make a little bit of mistake, especially going into 10 or going into 11 and going into 7.
Boyer has now led 58 of the 99 laps turned at Sonoma this afternoon. And we should remind you, Kurt Busch, who's led 2 laps, not here yesterday. He was racing Kyle's Nationwide car up at Road American, Wisconsin. Just parked the car for the day. Didn't get it on track. This is an amazing result for he and this team. More problems for Denny Hamlin there.
See, right here, if he could just put it together a little bit, he could dive underneath and try to outbrake him. But Clint's doing a good job. I mean, almost went too far, and he locked up the right front. That's what Boyer's got to be careful not to do.
You're clear.
And if we go back to the first part of the race, remember when the 9 car locked the front and then gave up that position, the lead to the 24. And that's the same situation these two are in here. Obviously, their tires are a little bit older. You know, it's tough when you watch these two race. Who needs this win more? With everything that Clint has gone through, coming from Childers, coming over here to Michael Waltrip Racing, Toyota, this being a Toyota race, where he's at right now, I think this would be huge for Clint and for Toyota.
Locking that right front up.
Yeah.
The problem is, if you lock
the track, he'll never beat you. Clear by 2 already. Race the track, and you'll be all right.
If you lock that right front up any earlier than he is, Kurt will make the move, because the car will quit turning. And then you have traffic you have to deal. Well, Montoya got out of the way there. That was nice of him.
If you're wondering who's in third, it's Jimmy Johnson. He's 3.4 seconds behind this battle for the race lead. Vickers is fourth, 5 seconds behind, and Tony Stewart is fifth, 5.8 seconds back. Reach 10 laps to go as they head down toward turn 7.
Yeah, Boyer gets through there pretty good.
Only 1 caution today, fewest we've had here, 3. It's happened on 4 different occasions. That's a record that may fall before day's end.
Through turn 7 there, Boyer's got him a pretty good groove. He cuts in early, gets his right side up over the curb, on the back side of the curb, and this straight lines that and comes off the bump, but he's still driving in a straight line.
Denny Hamlin, who had those problems earlier in turn 11, we showed you he was slow a moment ago. He has taken his car to the garage.
Boy, Kurt's car rolls so good through 11 right there. You just can't do anything with it.
Yeah, he still can't. Up off the corner, the 15 car of Clint Boyer is a better car. And Clint has worked so hard. Evidently, they've worked during practice, but so hard all day long to keep that thing going in a straight line up off the corner and hooking it up equal on both tires. Not overrunning the left rear or not overrunning the right rear tire.
What about the day for Michael Waltrip Racing? Boyer leading. He's led 60 laps this afternoon. Brian Vickers is fourth. Martin Truex Jr. is sixth in this race. All 3 cars running inside the top 6, and we should point out they've won twice in the history of the team. Both victories for David Rudiman. One in the Coca-Cola 600, rain shortened. He also won a couple of years ago at Chicago.
I think they'll get to a point where Kurt's just going to go all in on one of these corners.
And one of them, he's just going to, just roll through the center of it. But you know what? That was good advice to Clint. don't look in the mirror. Race the racetrack. Pay attention to hit your marks. Race the racetrack. And I think if Clint races the racetrack, he's better. He's better. He's got a better car. He's better at putting his car in position. He can't give up. He can't make one mistake at this point in time. You'd like to be in Clint's position 10 seconds ahead. That's the optimum position to be in. You know, but you see Kurt roll in the middle there. As long as Clint just focuses on it.
Off, you're clear by 4 already.
See, when he hits his marks and gets back to the accelerator and doesn't overdrive it and just hits his marks, Clint's got a car.
8 laps to go. And you see now Clint's created some separation here. And that lap by 3.8 seconds, the lead for Clint Bowyer over third place Jimmy Johnson. So these two racing tight really has not opened the door for the 48.
No.
At least as of now.
Yeah. The only thing that's going to open the door for the 48 if these two run into each other.
And take each other out.
And take each other out. That's the 48 is there. I mean, he's ready to take advantage of anything that happens up front. But he's not going to be able to make something happen up front.
He's not running the lap times these two guys are up front.
Things stabilizing at the front for Clint Bowyer. It's been fast here all weekend long. Kurt Busch behind him. There's Jimmy Johnson. Tony Stewart has gotten around Brian Vickers for the 4th position. And how about Jeff Gordon? Made his 2nd pit stop of the day after he ran out of fuel. Lost a ton of track position. And the man who's won here 5 times has rallied. Now finds himself 7th with 8 laps to go. Best finish for Michael Waltrip Racing here as Tony Stewart drives inside of Jimmy Johnson. That's for 3rd.
Yeah, we're talking about the 48 taking advantage of something that happens up front. He can't even take advantage of that. I mean, the 14 has come back up through that. Tony Stewart may have had one of the best runs of the day that we haven't talked about. And we have mentioned him a lot, don't get me wrong. But where his qualifying was and where he's at right now is pretty spectacular.
The other thing to mention with Stewart, he pitted at lap 83. Bowyer and Busch pitted at 71 and 72. That looks like a road course car that really has been through the ringer, and he's earned it all the way. I mean, the car's beaten up, and Tony Stewart running 3rd.
Yeah, Stewart just drove in there really deep.
Yeah, he did.
Locked it up, but made it work.
And you know what? When he locks that right front, he's loaded that left front. The left front is still rotating, even though the brakes are on. It's still rotating. The right front just gets light, gets up on top of the racetrack, and it smokes it like that.
Tony Stewart the last time around was over 5 seconds behind the leader, Clint Bowyer.
Look at Vickers.
We'll follow that as Brian Vickers, another one on fresher tires, tries to work over Jimmy Johnson. This for 4th. Six laps to go. Tony Stewart not making up any ground, and Clint Bowyer pulling away from Kurt Busch. His advantage that time around, 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, it almost seems like that the 51 car kicked too quick.
He was running pretty hard
like
there
in a
for
sprint
long time,
race. You know, do I kick with 2 laps to go or whatever? He kicked too quick, and now he's kind of giving up his stuff.
Chris?
Well, you guys called it right there. Clint Bowyer starting to build some separation right now. Kurt Busch came on the radio a minute ago, had some comments about the tire that I can't say on TV, but obviously he just pushed it too hard there for about 10 laps. His car now fading. Larry?
Yeah, what I was going to say about Kurt Busch, and we still have 6 laps to go, and a lot can happen in 6 laps, but I know he wanted to win this race, and rightly so. And as I think you pointed out, certainly has used everything up to this 51 car. But if he can truly come home 2nd, what a great run for this race team and for Kurt Busch. When you think about it, he lost his ride at Penske Racing during the offseason because of a lot of incidents that happened over there. As you pointed out, Adam, he was suspended 2 weeks ago after a situation during the Nationwide Series race and post-race at Dover. This is a great new beginning for Kurt Busch if he can seal the deal with this 2nd place finish today.
Michael Waltrip Racing, best finish ever at Sonoma. 1 year ago, Mark Truex Jr. was 8th. Today, all 3 of the MWR cars running inside the top 6. Bowyer leading, Vickers 5th, and right behind him is Truex.
And the 15 car of Clint Bowyer and the 56 of Mark Truex have led most of the race. When you go back and look at the laps, I think we'll see that Michael Waltrip Racing, their team led the majority of the race. And that 55, the 55 car of, as we see Truex right here in front of Jeff Gordon, but the 55 car of Vickers, I think has been a standout today also to come and not be in a car in a little while here.
There's Jeff Gordon continuing his rally through the field.
And Truex was a little wide there and opened the door, and he rolled in, but you see they have to give it up right here. Even though the 24 had a little bit of a run, you can't go through this area side by side.
These two cars connected at the hip here a couple of years ago. Remember that? Turn 11?
Yeah, I don't think they're thinking about that right now. I could tell you, I would bet money that's never crossed their mind. Here we go.
Here we got problems. Kyle Busch, Paul Menard, Juan Pablo Montoya all going around in turn 7.
You see the 27 having to sit there and wait until he can clear and turn around.
And we get a caution, and that changes everything.
This changes everything.
Caution's out, 27.
Wouldn't be surprised if you see 3 abreast.
Yeah.
You see Montoya's way out of the way over there. And Kyle Busch just got loose under braking and tagged the 27 car. So
yeah, I think they were trying. I mean, I think Kyle, like you said, Kyle just mashed the brakes, the rear to come around on him, and he got in the back of the 27. Juan was trying to stay out of the way. He was not even involved in that. Let's hear if we see chatter.
Yep.
Yeah, hear that wheel hop?
Wheel hop.
Yeah.
Clear.
That's just what happens when you drive these things in too hard like that. If you go in just that little extra 2 or 3 feet, that wheel hop.
All clear.
You can't get out of it. Well, you can get out of it if you hit the gas, but that's hard to do when you're hanging on for dear life.
Yeah.
That's the second car from the Joe Gibbs camp that's had problems late in the race while running inside the top 10. Hamlin and now Kyle Busch.
Hamlin's in the garage area. He's out or off the track right now, no matter what. But this totally changes. Will these tires come back? And this is going to be interesting to see if the tires come back on the 51 after they cool down just a little bit.
Tony Stewart, speaking of tires,
yes,
12 laps fresher. He'll restart 3rd. A late caution will reset him and go green when we come back to Sonoma, California. NASCAR on TNT, live in Sonoma, California. It is the Toyota Save Mart 350. And this is that stage of the race we've been talking about, when drivers get aggressive and go for it all. We're under caution for the second time today. That means we are going to get a double file restart with the race on the line. Clint Bowyer is dominated today, leading 66 of 107 laps. But he's going to restart on the front row with Kurt Busch, who's Mr. Aggressive. Let's get a report from his camp. Here's Chris Neville.
Yeah, Nick Harrison has been encouraging his driver all day. But Nick, he faded there in about the last 10 laps. Is something broken on the 51?
It looks like there's a mess in the rear suspension. Maybe the track bar mount or something seems to maybe be broke. Rear's wandering around, but man, Kurt's did a heck of a job all day, and all my guys, they worked really, really hard. I hate we're not going to be able to finish it off, but it's still the car still has some speed in it. There's just a miss in the back of the car. But all the guys with Phoenix Racing and HendrickCars.com and Monster Energy, everybody that helps us out, I sure would wish we could seal the deal, and there's still some racing to go, but we have a little miss in the back of our car. But we're still going to try to get the strongest finish we can here. And, you know, I wish we had something for them, but I think we're going to have to limp out of here and salvage the best we can.
Still a strong day for this small team.
Thank you, Chris. There were a few drivers that came down pit road. Greg Biffle, Jeff Burton, Paul Menard, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jamie McMurray, Kyle Busch, among those that made pit stops right there.
Yeah, I don't know what he's feeling in the back of the car when he talks about a miss in the back of the car, especially the track bar, like the rear's wandering around. Or if he's just running,
that if it was a track bar,
you would think the track bar, you would see it. The car would flop, and so many times when you watch these races, we've seen guys break track bars, and it could just be loose. I mean, it could be a point where he's broke the mount, and the mount is just flexing a little bit, or something like that. But we've seen the way these guys have beat it over these curbs. These cars take a physical beating up and down over these curbs. Stuff drags, stuff scrapes.
Oh, you haven't seen physical beating yet.
Yeah, well,
we're about to see
that may be
beating.
after the race. That may be after the race that we see a physical beating by somebody. That's true.
Something to think about here. The top two drivers came down pit road at 71 and 72. Tony Stewart, who restarts third, made a pit stop at lap 83. fresher tires, I'm not sure what role that plays here, but if fuel comes into play because of a green-white checker, the 14 a car to watch. And let's not forget, his crew chief, Steve Addington, has won here twice. And we have gotten word from NASCAR we're going to exceed the scheduled distance, so it will be a green-white checker finish. You get 3 attempts. First a green flag lap, then a white flag lap, and if the leader takes the white flag before another caution comes out, the race is official with the next flag, whether it be the caution or the checker.
And I'm not sure why this caution was this long. I thought when we first went to the caution, they said it was going to be a quickie yellow because the 27 fired up and drove off. But we just saw Ryan Newman receive the wave around for the lucky dog, so he's gone back to the front, or back around to make up his lap.
Newman in 23rd.
Well, I don't care if he feels something in the rear or not. I believe 51 is going to run it in there pretty hard. I mean, you got to. If anybody has a shot right now, you got to run side by side up at least until turn two to have a shot.
That's right. And you see him weaving back and forth. The rear end was under the car as you see him weave back and forth. Whether he's trying to figure out that's what it is or clean his tires off at that point, hard to tell. So because 3 or 4 of those guys were, but you see as he weaves just a little bit.
And to Boyer, he's got to get the best restart of the year in order to try to, if he can stay out in front of these guys when the flag drops, he's going to be tough to pass.
Today, TNT with a matinee in wine country. Next weekend, we're going prime time, Saturday night. NASCAR on TNT in the Bluegrass State for NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing from Kentucky, presented by KFC. Coverage begins 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time with Countdown to Green. Kyle Busch won there last season, making our second trip to the Bluegrass next Saturday night. Clint Bowyer, the race leader. We're going to get our first attempt at a green-white checker. Kurt Busch will restart alongside. Tony Stewart, a 2-time winner at this track, restarts 3rd. Jimmy Johnson won this race 2 years ago as 4th. Brian Vickers, making only his 3rd start of the season, overcoming a pit road speeding penalty, will restart 5th. And right beside him, a guy who's been strong today, his teammate Martin Truex Jr. Jeff Gordon ran out of fuel under green earlier today. He's rallied back. He is 7th. Joey Logano, last year's pole sitter, restarts 8th. A.J. Allmendinger and Matt Kenseth will complete the top 10. Told you about our crew and how hard they've been working to make sure we've got the best pictures for you. I think this is evidence of that.
We may see more of these on boards before the last 2 or 3 laps are over with.
Kidding. Another thing you got to be careful here on this restart on these tires is the wheel spin when you get the green. That's why these guys are so busy cleaning their tires off right there.
Anxious moments for Clint Bowyer. He had a lead of 2 seconds when the caution came out. Now he's going to have to hold him off on a restart. First attempt at a green-white checker.
Seats to have are in turn 2 right now.
When they get to the top of the hill, it's going to be all the way back through the pack. Not these first 2 or 3 rows. I'm talking about all the way back.
Pace car is off. We're going green at Sonoma.
Kurt Busch got a good start.
Yes, he did. Hung right there on the inside.
Yeah, looks like Stewart.
Stewart going to try and get inside at turn 2.
Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. Now, Boyer drove off that corner and got the spot. Thought maybe Kurt Busch was going to stay underneath him for that left-hander, but Bowyer did what he needed to do. That was drive straight off that corner.
The best thing that can happen for Bowyer is if Kurt Busch keeps that 14 of Tony Stewart behind him. But I'm telling you, on cool tires, you know, after these tires have cooled off a little bit, Kurt's right there on him.
See Jeff Gordon trying to work his way through the traffic back behind him.
And something has happened here in the middle of the pack that we've missed a little bit, because you can see there's a big separation. There's Junior's car.
Yeah,
there's a big separation. So some of these guys at the top of the hill got together.
Let's look at the replay on the restart. Back behind the leaders.
This goes up over the hill and to the right, down to that, and you see these guys. They just get together right at the top of the hill. And these guys, that's the blind part of the racetrack. Right as you come over right here, you see they're already backwards. There's Junior already backwards coming across the racetrack. Oh, he gets hit hard by Eric.
Keselowski, Harvick both spent time off track there. We get the white flag. 1 lap to go. We will not get another green-white checker finish. Clint Boyer, the race leader, and Kurt Busch stays right behind him.
And Kurt Busch is doing a great job of holding off that 14 right now. As he said, we're not going to be able to finish it off. We just hope we come out of here with something. Kurt Busch is carrying this car. If there's something wrong with it, with the back of that thing, he is carrying this car at this point. Tony got to look at him. He
Stewart
got
drove in there really deep.
Yeah, look at him smoke the tires.
Stewart makes the pass for the runner-up position, but he might be running out of time. Boyer in turn 7.
Yeah. See Vickers there.
Yeah, Vickers up to 4th now. Jimmy Johnson in 5th. And there goes Truex off course after a great day.
After a great day. Top 5, top 6 car, obviously.
You're going to be clear by 7, back to that 14, clear by 7.
Yeah, obviously somebody's got into him, it looks like, and spun him around. And that's what happens when everybody gets aggressive and tries to make something happen in these last 2 or 3 laps. It can ruin your day.
One of the great stories of 2012, the resurgence of Michael Waltrip Racing.
Tony smoked it down in there.
Today, Clint Boyer going to get him their first trophy of 2012.
Great job.
He drives it back to the start-finish line and wins the Toyota Save Mart 350.
Coming over here and doing this with us, my friend. Yeah, boys! Yeah!
Great job by Michael Waltrip Racing. Clint Boyer, great run. Vickers finishes 4th, and you go back to the 56 of Truex. Just a bad ending to the day, but those guys were here all day.
Boyer's car just looked good. He just drove a good race, the whole race.
The whole race.
That thing looked really, really good.
I'm happy that you guys came over here and raced with us. That is just unbelievable.
For Clint Boyer, it's his 6th career win. Last time he went to victory lane, October last year at Talladega.
I think that shows that this win on a road course by Michael Waltrip Racing shows how far that team has come. It really has, because there's a lot of engineering and a lot of stuff involved when you come to a road course, a lot different than an oval. You see his old teammate Jeff Burton slow down to wave at him there, and Kurt Busch did a great job. And you got to give a tip of the hat to that team, to James Finch and that team, and all that Kurt's done.
Let's hear from the winning crew chief, Matt.
He walked down off the box, took a big sigh. How nervous were you on that green-white checkered restart?
I mean, the bet we laid was earlier in the race, so we had to stick with it. We worked on forward bite at a test, worked on forward bite all weekend this weekend, and that's pretty freaking amazing right there.
A lot of expectations when you and Clint teamed up, or now you're finally starting to see the fruits of that labor, and those expectations come to fruition.
Yeah, Daytona, Phoenix, we're still getting our feet wet, made a lot of mistakes, but here the last month or so we've hit on some few things, and drivers. That's badass right there. That's badass.
A+ performance on the racetrack, and the A++ guys on the burnout.
Great day for Clint Boyer and Brian Patty. Our teammate Martin Truex Jr. on track there at the end of the race. Went from 8th to 22nd. Mark Martin, a part of the family, not driving the 55 this weekend, offering his congratulations. And he has been a huge part of their success in 2012. Tony Stewart, a runner-up this afternoon, 2nd consecutive week. He's come up 1 short of victory lane. Congratulations there from Rodney Childers, and the crew chief today for Brian Vickers. The celebration is on in wine country. Tip your glass to the 15 team. Clint Boyer celebrating the win this afternoon. NASCAR on TNT's post-race coverage, live in Sonoma, California. There's the winning car. The winning drivers walk to victory lane. Understand he's out of fuel. Doesn't matter how you get there. When you're celebrating with a checkered flag, it's all good. A hug for crew chief Brian Patty. Let's go down and join the celebration to Ralph Shaheen.
Well, normally they drive in, but he's getting hugs anyway from all the guys. Let me jump in here with you. Congratulations. Yeah, I guess you're a little tight on fuel there, huh?
Yeah, it was. I did a pretty good burnout back there in the back, and it started to blubber back there in the back. But just, super excited. Everybody involved to be in victory lane with this group so early in the season. It's just a dream come true. Very proud of all of our partners, especially everybody at MWR. to move, switch teams like I did was a huge, risk and a chance for me, and it was obviously a chance for me to showcase my talents. So, proud of everybody back home at the shop. Thank you guys for building us good race cars. Thank you for, 5-hour. Unbelievable. I took one before the race, and I needed it. Georgia Boot, Toyota, and everybody involved. Napa, Sprint. How about them fans, boys?
Hell, you won't need any 5-hour energy now. He's a little keyed up. Hey, tell me about everything that's going on here at MWR. Why is this team hitting it so strong all of a sudden?
Well, just working together. That's something that we're very proud of. All these guys work together, the crew chiefs, engineering staff, everybody at TRD. I mean, that's what it takes. All of our cars ran good today, and it's because everybody works together. I want to say hi to that 11-year-old Brady back home. 11 years old with stage 3 lymphoma. Hang in there, buddy. We're praying for you, and this one's for you. Thank you.
Who knew a guy from very flat, very straight Kansas could win on the twisting roads of the wine country in Sonoma?
He got it done today. Big fundraiser for Clint this week in Emporia, Kansas. And he will be going home with feeling good about himself. Matt?
And Kurt Busch almost pulled back-to-back wins here at Sonoma. It seems like half the garage has come by and congratulated you and these guys. Unsponsored car, you almost pulled off the win. What kind of statement does this send about this team's performance?
It's an amazing day when you can do what we did today. I don't know, I'm a little choked up because, A, we were in position. B, I was very considerate to Boyer, who was going for his first win with the new team. And then C, which is most important, I made a mistake. I got into those tires in turn 11, and for years they've never been bolted down. They were bolted down this time, and it bent the right front up and it broke the panhard bar, and I'm just glad we brought it home third. If I was smarter, I'd have let Tony Stewart go a half a lap ahead. Maybe he could have got to Boyer for a big finale in turn 11, but unbelievable day with our Chevrolet. I want to thank James Finch, who's at home. He's like, hell with that road racing stuff. I don't need that. And I was hoping that I could be the road course ringer that could bring it home for him. But amazing job the guys did, just nice and steady today. I just made that one mistake. And if you're not perfect in this game in Sprint Cup, then it's tough. But thanks to Monster, Tag Heuer, those guys been sticking with me. This car's available. I was going to call us Team Tiger Blood if we won, but I still might.
Kurt Busch, third here in Sonoma. Chris?
Well, Dan Earnhardt Jr. coming off that big win last weekend, but this weekend a little bit tougher go at it. You kept the car clean all day, but what happened on that final restart?
I don't know. We got run into coming over 4 and or coming over 3A, but we had a good car. We got to get a little. We've had better cars here. We struggled kind of all weekend. We didn't have real good speed in the race, but we just kind of hung around, and we were going to finish in top 15 there, and the green-white checker, there's going to be some victims on that deal, and I was the one today.
Dale Jr. finished 23rd today. Marty?
Brian Vickers finishes 4th today. A lot of guys coming by congratulating you. Are you surprised you were able to finish top 5 today?
Oh, wow. The effort that the MWR Toyota guys put on the track, having RK Motor Charlotte on the car this week, all the support. The guys just done a great job from start to finish at the shop. Rodney gave me a good car. The stuff I learned this summer in Europe racing the sports cars with Rob, thanks again for that, Le Mans, I think helped me, but it also it took me a few runs to get back to the heavy car, no traction control, a lot of horsepower, so that hurt us on Friday. I hurt us a little bit on Friday, but I think that all that time over there helped me on Saturday and Sunday, and I was glad to come home with the top 5.
You and Stewart had fresher tires than the guys in front of you on that last restart. Were you thinking, okay, this is our chance to make a move here?
Absolutely. Him and I were just talking about that. I actually had a phenomenal car in the long run all day long, and that very last run we got loose, and I felt like I took care of my tires on the restart, but maybe not. And he said, funny enough, he was getting tight all day, and that last run, I think, from what we heard, the track just got loose, and it hurt me and helped him, and he ended up getting back by us, and I really thought we were going to have a 1-2, and it was going to be between him and I, but they just got enough distance on us that we couldn't catch him.
Speeding penalty matters not. Brian Vickers finishes 4th today.
An outstanding day for Brian Vickers. Top 5. What a day for Michael Waltrip Racing as we look at the results from today's Toyota Save Mart 350.
Yeah, great run, we said, by Brian Vickers, by Kurt Busch. You look at Jeff. Those guys salvaged something out of this. Greg Biffle gets back up in there. And Joey Logano has another top 10 out here. Joey just top 10s him to death when he comes to this place.
His 3rd in a row on a road course.
Yes.
He was top 10 last year at both road courses. Matt Kenseth, not a bad day for the championship leader.
Like Truex down there at 22nd,
Yeah.
that hurts after running so well the whole race.
Yeah, he was 8th when he got turned around on that final lap. Here's some of those drivers that struggled this afternoon.
Yeah, Eric was involved in that thing with Dale Jr. Those guys, you look at from there back, a lot of these guys. We documented Juan's problems all day long. Denny Hamlin was in the garage area when it was over with.
Back-to-back bad weeks for Denny Hamlin. Tony Stewart been rolling. Second straight weekend. He's finished in the runner-up position. Marty Snyder?
Well, somehow Tony Stewart went from 24th to second. How'd you do that with only 2 cautions on the day?
Just like we planned. I mean, we planned on letting everything get settled out for a couple laps and just going one at a time. So we had an fortunate break at the end. We on the second to last pit stop there, they didn't get it. Something happened on plugging the fuel in and didn't get it full. So that second to last caution there, we got a chance to come in for fuel and 4 tires, and that got us up through there. We just had 8 or 10 lap fresher tires in those guys. We still had to fight our way through there. We had a really good car. We just took all day to get the track position.
How about that battle with the 51 at the end? You went for the lead in 11, which was the right thing to do, but you had to hold off the 51 at the same time.
Yeah, and people probably didn't see it, but something was wrong with his car. Something in the rear end was breaking, and he was driving the wheels off that thing. I don't know how he kept it on the racetrack. Every time he'd go in the corner, it'd get tight on him, so he did a really good job of keeping that thing going.
Makes it 3 straight top 5s for Tony Stewart.
It's the summertime. That's when smoke usually gets rolling. Here are your official NASCAR Sprint Cup driver standings after 16 races. Kenseth now 11 points in front of Greg Biffle, who jumps in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr. after finishing inside the top 10 today. Tony Stewart, big gainer. He's up to 5th, and now you look at those outside the top 10. Carl Edwards, 11 back. Kyle Busch and Ryan Newman holding down the wild cards, having victories in 12th and 13th. Let's hear from Jimmy Johnson. Here's Matt.
And Jimmy Johnson, impressive run today here in Sonoma, almost scored another win. What was the deciding factor for you guys on the restart? It almost looked like you guys were in the perfect position.
Yeah, we were sitting in a good spot. We just, just kind of bottled up in a couple situations. The 55 got by me, and wasn't able to kind of get through there. We were honestly more worried about fuel. We thought we were out of fuel and had big trouble there in that last restart. But luckily the car made it back. I'll take 5th. I wish we had a little bit more in the long run. We lacked a little of the 15 and the 51 in the long run. But, ran the top 5 all day, so it's hard to complain too much.
All right, thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks, buddy.
Jimmy Johnson, top 5 this afternoon after winning this race a couple of years ago. Been a fun weekend in Sonoma, California, as it always is. None better than Clint Boyer, who gets the victory today. Reminder, we'll be with you next Saturday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing from Kentucky, presented by KFC. Countdown to green at 6:30. And then we got race coverage following. Coming up next on TNT, it's our network preview show. Head over to NASCAR.com now for the NASCAR on TNT post-race show. Interviews, analysis, and more. It's live now on NASCAR.com. A special thanks to our production and management staff. Did a great job this weekend. Bree Smith, Nancy Smith, Lori Brooks, Sarah Phillips, and Savannah Brotherton. We got a great group of people. Now we'll load up and head back to Kentucky for next Saturday night. For Larry McReynolds, Kyle Petty, and Wally Dallenbach, I'm Adam Alexander. Thank you for being with us for NASCAR on TNT, and congratulations to Clint Boyer. He's a winner. So long from Sonoma.